Chapter 31:30. Divine Pure Land. Did you also meet those people? Yes. Lin Ling couldn't help but curiously ask. I did. After those fellows arrived, they didn't even greet me. They threw talismans at me and hit me with their hammers. I didn't even have time to react before I was defeated. Sigh. The young man sighed, as if he felt that he had lost a lot of face, so he said with a red face, "It's mainly because those guys are too dishonest, they don't play according to common sense. Otherwise, with my strength, I wouldn't be afraid of them. Right, look at my head." Sigh. Hearing this, Lin Ling and the others looked at his head. They immediately discovered that there was a fist-sized bump there that seemed to be smoking. Seeing this, Yu looked at Lin Ling with resentment. She knew that Lin Ling must have used his great sword to hit him. This youth was quite pitiful. Did you see those people? Sigh. Lin Ling quickly asked with a hollow laugh. No. They were skilled in their methods and were all repeat offenders. They easily killed me. If I were to find them, I would definitely skin them alive. That youth's resentment was clearly great. That's right, they were too unreasonable. How could that group of people hit someone's head? Sigh. Lin Ling was even more embarrassed. He quickly responded. As for Meng Flo and Sakura, they were also the same, all of them dryly laughing. You're the ones who are easy to talk to. Sigh. Hearing this, the youth's eyes reddened. He gratefully said, even grabbing Lin Ling's hand and shaking it. It was as if they were all victims, suffering the same fate as each other. This caused Lin Ling's hollow laughter to become even louder. He could only reply, "That's right, brother, brother." Sigh. As the group walked and chatted, they learned that this youth was called Xia Tianyi. He was from the Xia family of evil prying. This Xia family was one of the 100 great bloodlines and originated from the ancient gods. Xia Tianyi was clearly an impatient person. He said, in this trip to the divine dreamland, I will definitely rise up in the 9 states and bring glory to my Xia family of evil prying." Brother Xia, what is the Xia family of evil prying? The nemesis of ghosts and demons. With regards to Xia Tianyi, Sakura and the rest were also very curious, but after a conversation, their hearts subconsciously trembled. This was because Sakura and Meng Lu were both proficient in the underworld Tao, which happened to be countered by Xia Tianyi. No wonder after seeing Xia Tianyi, they all had an uncomfortable feeling. Subconsciously, they all grasped the talismans in their palms. Perhaps only these talismans could resist Xia Tianyi. On the other hand, Lin Ling smiled nonchalantly. Although Xia Tianyi also countered Lin Ling, for example, the scabbard, Lin Ling, was proficient in many other methods. He had the Dragon Tribe's 8 tribes' divine arts, which were the arts of the Buddha god. It was not something that the evil warding bloodline could restrain. Don't worry, things are different now. In our family, those old antiques are the ones who like to eradicate the devil Tao, but the younger generation doesn't care about that anymore. So what if it's the devil Tao? In the end, it all depended on the person. The human heart was not what it used to be. If it was a demon, so what if it was a demon? It was open and aboveboard. Weren't there good demons too? Therefore, I will treat you all like brothers. What really made me angry was the group of people who ambushed me. If I see them, I want them to know why the flowers are so red. Seeing Sakura and Meng Lu's appearance, Xia Tianyi smiled. Obviously, he could vaguely sense their talents, so he comforted them. On the contrary, he couldn't see through Lin Ling. Lin Ling had a demon in him, but he also had Buddha. Buddha and demon in one, and he even had flames. Both the power of good and evil came from the same body, which made Xia Tianyi extremely curious. Most importantly, he could vaguely sense from Lin Ling's eyes that this person was a martial arts overlord. However, such a grave and stern person was very approachable, as if he had 2 personalities, which made him even more curious. He couldn't help but glance at Yu Yu and Meng Lu. He immediately knew that the reason why Lin Ling wasn't so cold was because his wife was there. This was a man who was infatuated. Xia Tianyi was very clear that a man who was cold and heartless to outsiders but passionate to his wife must have experienced many twists and turns. It was a pity that his cultivation level was too low. Otherwise, he would be a famous figure in the 9 prefectures. After a long time, the front was no longer the same ancient ruins. Instead, it was like a holy land with spiritual energy spiraling in spirals. There were green mountains and clear waters, lush trees, many spiritual springs and waterfalls, and all kinds of auspicious birds and beasts. It was like a mythical world. It seems that there are even more treasures in this holy land. Xia Tianyi suddenly smiled as he stared ahead. Lin Ling smiled as well. He could sense the power of fire within the Green Mountain. It was ancient and everlasting. It seemed to be the fire of the gods. The group moved forward excitedly, and they collected some spiritual herbs along the way. Xia Tianyi. Just as they arrived at the foot of a green mountain, a voice came from the peak of the mountain. Then, several figures slowly appeared. These people were at the 5th level of the half-saint realm. They stood there quietly, and a cold aura filled the air. Lu Iceland. Seeing this, Xia Tianyi's eyes flickered. Then, he explained in a low voice, Lu Iceland is also one of the 100 great bloodlines. He has the ice bloodline and is the descendant of the ice god. In the past, he had a conflict with me, so both of us don't like each other. Hearing this, Lin Ling nodded his head. The ice bloodline was the descendant of the ice god. In the past, Lin Ling had also seen the descendant of the ice goddess. Although these 2 bloodlines were both of the 100 great bloodlines, there were some differences. One was ice and snow, and the other was ice. To put it bluntly, one controlled ice and snow, while the other controlled temperature. Do you think you found a powerful backer by following Xia Tianyi? Let me tell you, be careful not to be implicated by Xia Tianyi. Now, get lost. Suddenly, a young man with long blue hair shouted angrily. They were enemies with Xia Tianyi. However, Xia Tianyi was powerful and they didn't dare to provoke him. Therefore, they could only vent their anger on Lin Ling and the rest. Go to hell. However, Di Shi Tian cursed angrily. This stunned Xia Tianyi. He didn't expect Di Shi Tian to be so arrogant. One should know that Di Shi Tian was only at the 1st level of the half-saint realm. In fact, the young geniuses of the Lu family couldn't react in time. They were so angry that their eyes turned red. Huh, you pieces of trash. Are you trying to intimidate the people around me and make me leave in disgrace? Unfortunately, you're not famous enough. But soon, Xia Tianyi laughed loudly. You've got guts. Very guts. Don't let me see you. The young man on the mountain peak shouted coldly. Then, they left one by one. Of course, as they left, they stared at Lin Ling and the rest with resentment. How dare a stray dog speak so arrogantly? If you're so capable, stay by Xia Tianyi's side forever. Otherwise, die. Disdainful voices reverberated around the mountain. They were filled with thick killing intent. Chapter 31-31. God's Fire. After those people left, Xia Tianyi looked at Lin Ling and the others. Don't worry, if they find trouble with you, I will stand up for you. For now, let's go our separate ways. When I roamed the 9 states in the early years, I offended many geniuses of the 9 states. If they see you with me, the previous incident will happen again. Okay. Hearing that, Lin Ling nodded. In fact, because Xia Tianyi was with them, they couldn't steal anything. Therefore, it was right for Xia Tianyi to leave. Moreover, they had only met by chance. After Xia Tianyi talked for a while, he waved his hand and left. Are those people the geniuses of the 9 states? They're really strong. Any one of them is as strong as Xiang Anning of the spirit state. They're really impressive. They're nothing. Didn't my second brother defeat Xiang Anning? If they really fight, they'll be the ones at a disadvantage. Brother D is right. Moreover, we still have many talismans. Yu, Di Shi Tian, and the others continued to talk. Lin Ling looked into the distance and said, we've obviously come to a new area. Moreover, we have many treasures. Why don't we increase our strength before moving forward? After all, we don't have many talismans left. We should save as much as we can. That's true. Lin Ling, you find a place. After talking for a while, Lin Ling finally found a fire source in the Green Mountains. Everyone started to cultivate around the fire source. The fire source was left behind by the gods after a battle. It was extremely mysterious. However, it wasn't suitable for Yu and the others to cultivate. Therefore, Lin Ling moved forward alone. The fire source was in a valley and could be extinguished at any time. When Lin Ling arrived at the valley, he realized that many people had gathered here. Some of them were sitting cross-legged. Some of them had flames on their bodies. They were all fire elemental cultivators. Obviously, they were using the god's fire to comprehend the ultimate martial path. Of course, when Lin Ling walked in, they opened their eyes and looked at him. Then, they closed their eyes. This was because Lin Ling was at the first level of the half-saint realm. His cultivation level was not worth mentioning. God's flame. This is the flame left behind by a battle between gods. However, Yen Wei is still there. If we can't get rid of Yen Wei, we won't get much benefit. A voice suddenly sounded. It was an old man with fiery red hair. Hearing this, many people nodded. After all, these were flames left behind by a battle between deities. Naturally, they would be aggressive, making it difficult for others to get close to them. Moreover, countless years have passed and this flame will be extinguished at any time. If we can't deal with Yen Wei, we can only waste this treasure. Someone else said. Everyone opened their eyes again and looked at the white flame. They saw that there was a layer of membrane on the surface of the flame, as if the flame demon was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws, not allowing anyone to get close. Let me try. Finally, someone made a move. A 10-meter-long green magpie flew out. It was formed from green flames. Octagonal green magpie flames, the successor of the octagonal ancient residence in the Tianzhou. This flame is probably at the level of a third-grade desolate body. Upon seeing this, many people's expressions became serious. The person who had attacked was extremely talented. Rumble. When the green magpie collided with the white flame, it immediately caused the god's flame to sway slightly. However, it quickly burned the green magpie. The person who had attacked felt a sweetness at the corner of his mouth. He had almost suffered serious injuries. After so many years, this god's flame is still as powerful as ever. Of course, God is not something we can fight against. If not for the fact that so much time has passed, it would be difficult for us to even get close to it. Who's going to attack next? Since we are all fire elemental warriors, let's not hide anything. Let's work together to destroy Yen Wei. I agree with this suggestion. Many experts stood up and finally came to an agreement. Wait, there are some people here who are just here to make up the numbers. However, soon, a woman said coldly. This woman was extremely beautiful. What was strange was that half of her body was fire and the other half was ice and snow. She seemed to have a dual talent of water and fire. Just here to make up the numbers. Are they trying to take advantage of us? As soon as the woman finished speaking, someone immediately spoke. They all looked at Lin Ling. This was because Lin Ling's cultivation level was the lowest. If he could not help at all, he would obviously be taking advantage of them. Young friend, what's your talent level? However, an old man still asked. After all, although his cultivation level was low, if his talent was high, he could still provide some help. Barely a first-grade fire elemental talent. Lin Ling glanced at the crowd and did not hide anything. First grade? And he's only a first-grade half-saint? I don't think he can help at all. Drive him away. Many people immediately spoke and looked at Lin Ling with disdain. Young friend, you should leave. The old man with long red hair, who looked mighty but had a kind temperament, tried to persuade him. Leave. Don't be too thick-skinned. Otherwise, if we drive you away, you will definitely be injured. The woman with the combination of ice and fire did not give any face when she spoke. After she finished speaking, her beautiful eyes looked at the god fire in the valley. I'm afraid the god fire will be extinguished soon. Everyone, quickly attack. Alright, it's my turn this time. The fire elemental warriors in the valley attacked again. Their talents were not weak. Many of them had third-grade desolate bodies and their cultivation levels were not low. In an instant, the god fire flickered continuously. However, every time it seemed like they were about to succeed, the flames outside the white flames would burn again, causing them to fail again and again. If this goes on, you won't be able to break through the flames. When everyone was exhausted, a calm voice could be heard all of a sudden. This made everyone look around and they were surprised to find that the young man from before had not left. His skin was too thick. You. At first, the woman was unhappy and wanted to teach Lin Ling a lesson. However, Lin Ling had already walked towards the god fire. Young friend, be careful. When everyone saw this, they were shocked. The flames of the god fire were not weak and could burn a sage to death. How could a junior at the first heaven of the half-saint realm go near the flames? Could it be that I have wronged him? Even if his cultivation level is not high and his talents are not strong, he still intends to help. The woman frowned. Attack the flames for me. However, at this moment, Lin Ling's voice drifted out and the valley fell silent. The valley fell silent. Was Lin Ling giving them orders? Young friend, what do you mean? The old man, who seemed to be the leader of the group, asked with a frown. The god fire is about to be extinguished. If we can't break through the flames, we can't add the fire elemental energy into the god fire. The final result is that we will pass through the god fire wrongly. Therefore, I need your help. Lin Ling said indifferently as he continued to walk forward. His words made the valley even more silent. Then, laughter rang out. Chapter 31-32. Boundless Arrogance. Do you think you can break through that flame might with just you alone? Someone mocked after laughing out loud. I only know that with just you all, you absolutely cannot break through. However, Lin Ling didn't even glance at that person as he lightly said. His words caused all the laughter in the valley to instantly vanish. Although they hadn't succeeded, this wasn't something that a junior could mock. You really understand the ultimate flame path. Soon, someone angrily shouted out. They stood up as if they wanted to teach Lin Ling a lesson. Don't speak nonsense. If you don't make a move then you will have wasted this god fire. Everyone has come to the divine dreamland for nothing. Moreover, if I can't succeed then you all have even less hope. However, Lin Ling seemed as if he didn't know the anger of everyone present. Where did this junior come from? He's becoming more and more arrogant. A first-grade desolate body dares to be so arrogant. However, he might have a way. What do we do now? Everyone looked at each other in dismay. Finally, the leading old man nodded and said, Good. We will believe you this time. I hope you don't disappoint us. Don't worry. When I was playing with fire, you were still drinking milk. However, Lin Ling was just as everyone thought. He was becoming more and more arrogant. His words didn't even make sense. If it weren't for the fact that no one had any means to deal with the god fire, they would have already driven away Lin Ling. This was because a little brat that was still wet behind the ears actually dared to speak of playing with fire in front of them. Make your move. The flame is about to extinguish. However, the old man's eyes flashed. He no longer cared about Lin Ling. He took the initiative to attack, urging forth a massive flame. This was a fourth-grade desolate body. Ha! As for the woman, she sighed but also attacked. Ice and fire intertwined, turning into rosy clouds that covered the entire valley. The truth was that she didn't believe in Lin Ling, but the god fire was indeed about to be extinguished. Thus, she had no other choice. The others also made their moves one after another. The entire valley turned into a world of flames. The desolate body spewed forth, capable of sweeping through 10,000 worlds. Crackle crackle. Their combined efforts undoubtedly caused the white divine flame to boil. It was as if a god had arrived to fight against their flames. A mere mortal flame dared to be so arrogant. It was even to the extent that everyone noticed the divine flame's disdainful attitude. Moreover, as if it had been stimulated by the flames of the crowd, the divine fire also grew larger. Boom! Finally, with a loud explosion, the entire mountain valley was turned to ashes. Flames soared into the skies, burning down the skies of the divine dreamland. Bang bang bang! The fire attribute martial artists in the mountain valley were sent flying backwards by the divine flames. Some of them were even burned by the white flames, emitting pained cries. Death was also quietly descending. The flame of God was indeed not something that ordinary people could violate. We have been tricked. Everyone was injured. When they looked at Lin Ling again, they realized that Lin Ling had disappeared. This made them realize that they had been tricked. Damn Junior! Even the old man in the lead was cursing furiously at this moment. These people were powerhouses that came from all over the 9 provinces. Some were imperial emperors, some were flame ancestors, and some were even sect masters of the 100 great sects. But now, all of these high and noble saints had been tricked by a junior. How could they not be angry? Ha, I fear that the divine fire will truly be extinguished. On the other hand, the woman didn't care about Lin Ling. Instead, she looked at the divine fire that was gradually dimming after its eruption and sighed. What divine fire? In front of me, Li Xiaoyao, this is nothing but nourishment to enhance my talent. But at this time, a cold shout echoed through the skies, spreading through the entire mountain valley. Then, a massive ancient stone tablet came crashing down, as if it were a divine decree. At this moment, all of the fire attribute martial artists felt as if they were facing a great enemy. That stone tablet actually gave them a tremendous pressure. Bang! After the stone tablet came crashing down, the white flame around the divine fire was completely suppressed. Even the flames on the bodies of those martial artists that were about to be burned to death vanished. Instead, a multicolored flame poured into the divine fire, causing the nearly extinguished flame source to burn once more. This scene left all of the ambitious and ruthless characters dumbfounded. As they looked around, they discovered a blue-robed youth quietly standing atop the giant stone tablet. Multicolored flames appeared in his hands, dancing about like fairies. And most importantly, this youth was the youth from the very beginning. Ultimate desolate body. The leading old man let out a trembling voice. His body was also trembling. He actually has an ultimate desolate body. No wonder he was able to break through the flame power. The woman's complexion was pale. She had only seen an ultimate desolate body in the flame province. She even guessed that in the entire divine dreamland, there were no more than 10 people that possessed an ultimate desolate body. These 10 people were undoubtedly the most terrifying existences within the half-saint realm. And now, one of them had appeared in front of her. Everyone, Begin to borrow the flame to break through. At this time, Lin Ling's voice floated out. Thank you. Everyone hurriedly bowed. They finally had the chance to touch the flames of divinity. Although Lin Ling was only at the first level of the half-saint realm, because he possessed an ultimate desolate body, their attitude towards him had undergone a 180-degree change. They now treated Lin Ling as a senior. Lin Ling let out a light breath and began to cultivate on the spacetime divine steel, constantly absorbing the flames of divinity. Before, although he had used the spacetime divine steel, the truth was that his talent was still at the desolate body level. However, the spacetime divine steel was an ultimate desolate body. When it collided with the flames of divinity, the might of the ultimate desolate body would be stimulated. Of course, if he was alone then he definitely wouldn't be able to resist the might of the flames of divinity. Luckily, there were many nearby fire attribute martial artists helping him. If I can increase the rank of my desolate body, then the might of the spacetime divine steel will greatly increase. Lin Ling's heart was filled with incomparable anticipation. Then, he felt the blazing flames surge into his dantian. The flames of divinity were mixed with the means of the gods and the laws of the universe. It was extremely helpful to Lin Ling. As time passed, Lin Ling's fire attribute talent also increased rapidly. It reached the 3rd grade and gradually reached the 4th grade. Finally, it stopped at the 5th grade. The spacetime divine steel below was burning with flames. It exuded a strong sense of majesty. It even had the smell of divinity. The valley gradually darkened. The flames of divinity had also disappeared without a trace. However, everyone's ultimate martial Tao had also increased significantly. They left one after another. Of course, they also quietly stared at Lin Ling with eyes full of reverence. What a terrifying junior. He's probably from the Yen state. Yeah, and he possesses the ultimate desolate body. From a certain point of view, he can easily crush our talents. Who is this person's master? As for the old man and the woman with the flaming ice talent, they were laughing bitterly. When I, Li Xiaoyao, was playing with fire, you were still drinking milk. This sentence could be said to be boundlessly arrogant. But now, it seemed like it was true. Li Xiaoyao. That name sounds familiar. Where have I heard it before? Chapter 31-33. Meet the people from the extreme ice island. Li Xiaoyao. I've never heard of him. The woman said. I can't remember him at the moment. However, for him to appear in my memory, it means that Li Xiaoyao is not someone to be underestimated. After all, I'm the sect leader behind the scenes of the 100 great sects in the Cloud Prefecture. The old man said solemnly. His words made the woman silent. I remember now. It's the ghost genius Li Xiaoyao. Finally, the old man's expression changed greatly. His voice frightened the woman beside him. She didn't expect the latter to have such a big reaction. The ghost genius Li Xiaoyao, the strongest genius of the last century. He ruled the 9 prefectures and defeated the 9 prefectures' god emperors. He was a rising star who dared to challenge the gods. So terrifying. Later, he disappeared. Instead, a few disciples rose up in the 9 prefectures. I'm afraid you've heard of one of them. Her name is Tian Liuli. It's her. The god of the 9 prefectures. She's Li Xiaoyao's disciple. Quickly, let's go back immediately. We can't miss such a senior. The two of them rushed back as if they didn't care about their lives. However, the valley was already empty. They were stunned and their faces were filled with regret. At that moment, Lin Ling had already left the ancient mountain to find Yu Yu and the others. Yu Yu and the others were cultivating in a dense forest. Therefore, Lin Ling quickly arrived there. Brother Ling. Just as Lin Ling appeared, everyone's eyes lit up. Yu Yu and the others had been waiting for a long time. Moreover, Lin Ling's gaze swept over them. He discovered that his big brother, Meng Lu, and the others had all broken through to the second layer of the half-saint realm. Even Luo Riyao had reached the peak of the martial immortal realm. On the other hand, Lin Ling was still at the first layer of the half-saint realm. This made Yu Yu and the others very puzzled. Lin Ling, you didn't break through? Meng Lu asked. My breakthrough is not simple. I need a lot of cultivation resources. I'm afraid that after I break through, I won't have enough treasures to set up the Spirit Province's great formation. Lin Ling said as he shook his head. His 4 dawn meant that his 4 great dantian had broken through. Naturally, the resources he needed was no small matter. Before he set up the great formation, Lin Ling didn't want to Lin Ling. Even if my second brother hasn't made a breakthrough, his strength has definitely increased greatly. He was able to defeat Xiang Anning, who was at the 5th layer of the half-saint realm in the past. Now, I'm afraid that he has few opponents in the 5th layer of the half-saint realm. However, Indra had Sakura Sakura. Hearing this, Lin Ling smiled and did not deny it. His fire Dao was currently a 5th grade desolate body, so his strength had naturally increased by more than 30%. Yu Yu, big brother, Meng Lu, your innate talents are very good. Therefore, you can break through the realm very quickly. However, don't blindly pursue speed. Otherwise, the tribulation of semi-sage realm will become even more difficult when you break through again. Especially when you are at the late stage of semi-sage realm. Then, Lin Ling exhorted again. Every time a half-saint realm cultivator broke through a half-saint realm, a half-saint tribulation would descend. Of course, the half-saint tribulation was only at the 4th stage. The 7th stage and the 10th stage were the most terrifying. Okay. Everyone nodded. Brother Ling, I'm still a martial immortal. Xian Yuangu sniffed and said when she saw that everyone's strength had increased. Don't worry. If there's a chance, I'll find a suitable talent for you. Lin Ling scratched her nose. Xian Yuangu smiled sweetly and finally nodded. So, where should we go now? Most importantly, we're getting more and more golden stones. If we don't get them, I'll feel uncomfortable. Meng Lu looked at Lin Ling and said. Lin Ling nodded. He looked into the distance and said, the spiritual qi in this area is denser. There should be a lot of golden stones. Since that's the case, let's loot again. My strength has increased greatly. I've long wanted to meet the cultivators of the 9 provinces. Hearing Lin Ling's words, Sakura waved his fist and said. Everyone moved forward one after another under Lin Ling's lead. Along the way, they used the same method as before to sneak attack the cultivators and loot their gains. Lin Ling and the others got a lot of golden stones from the cultivators, which made them look forward to it even more. As they moved forward, Lin Ling and the others soon met a group of acquaintances. That group of acquaintances were the people with the ice god's bloodline from the ice island. You're the people who have been looting everywhere recently. At this moment, under a green mountain range, more than a dozen cultivators looked coldly at the youth on the mountain peak and cursed angrily. That's right. It's us. On the mountain peak, the young geniuses from the ice island said with a smile. Damn it. We heard that there were people looting everywhere in another place. I didn't expect that we'd meet them too. Moreover, it's you. Beneath the mountain range, an old man angrily said. This group of sons of demon had a small reputation within the divine dreamland. They had looted the treasures of many powerful influences, causing many people's teeth to itch with anger. It's too late to know now. Remember, we are sons of demon. Kill them all. On the mountain peak, the youth in the lead waved his hand. Immediately, the entire mountain began to freeze over at a speed visible to the naked eye. Moreover, the surrounding temperature crazily fell. It was cold, extremely cold. Kill us? However, the words of these youths caused the complexions of those below to change. This was because although this group of sons of demon was despicable, they had never killed anyone. It was because of this that the powerhouses of the various great influences of the 9 provinces wanted to subdue them and not kill them. But now, these sons of demon wanted to kill them? This seemed a bit different. Remember, the ones who will kill you are called sons of demon. Now, inform the influences behind you. The temperature continued to fall. Even a half-saint would find it difficult to resist. This sort of drop in temperature was enough to cause countless people in the myriad worlds to die. You are not sons of demon. You are borrowing their reputation to commit all sorts of crimes, causing all the martial artists of the various influences to misunderstand you as sons of demon. Finally, you will trigger a blood feud. The old man's eyes brightened. He had clearly guessed what was going on. Hearing this, the youth on the mountain peak sneered. Without explaining anything, a terrifying strength erupted from him. This caused the half-saint powerhouses below the mountain to be unable to use any of their methods. Even their world essence was frozen. It looks like we're going to die. However, I'm not willing to accept this for those sons of demon. Although they are despicable, they have their own principles. They don't kill, and after they steal treasures, they leave behind a small portion. But, this group of people killed them to steal their treasures. That is the same as slandering the sons of demon. The old man's complexion became increasingly pale. Sect Master. The people around him cried out in worry. But, they also knew that death had completely arrived. Rumble, rumble, rumble. However, at this time, a thunderous rumble echoed through the skies. Then, the divine monument smashed down, causing all the nearby mountains to shatter. Crackle, crackle. Moreover, blazing flames began to boil, crazily rising the surrounding temperature. Chapter 31-34. Noah's Divine Ark. Who is it? At the same time, the indifferent young men on the mountaintop frowned. Using our reputation to kill and rob? We can't just stand by and do nothing. Almost at the same time, several figures slowly walked out from the ground. There was a total of 6 people in this group. The men were extraordinarily handsome, and the women were devastatingly beautiful. Their strength was at the initial stage of the half-saint realm, but they gave others a feeling that they couldn't be underestimated. Especially the young man in the lead. He had long hair, a blue robe, and 2 swords on his back. He was extremely extraordinary. It's you guys. The young men on the mountaintop had obviously recognized Lin Ling and the others. I thought you guys would always follow Xia Tianyi. I didn't expect you guys to have such backbone. You actually left Xia Tianyi. But don't you feel silly without Xia Tianyi by your side? After that, the young man in the lead laughed loudly. In his opinion, Xia Tianyi was the genius of the 9 prefectures that they feared, and this group of people in front of them were just chickens and pottery dogs. Unexpectedly, just as they finished laughing, Lin Ling and the others on the ground followed closely behind them and laughed even louder than them. This caused the young man on the mountaintop to be stunned. Even the group of people not far from Lin Ling were stunned. At the beginning, they thought that an expert had come to help, but who knew that it was only the initial stage of the half-saint realm. This made them feel very regretful. However, this group of juniors at the initial stage of the half-saint realm actually dared to laugh, and the more they laughed, the crazier they became. You probably don't know why we're laughing, right? Then I'll tell you the answer. Because without Xia Tianyi by your side, you'll be the ones to die. Finally, Sakura spoke indifferently. You're saying that you want to kill us at the intermediate stage of the half-saint realm with just a group of initial stage half-saint realm cultivators. This joke doesn't seem to be funny. Hearing this, the young men on the mountaintop shook their heads. Moreover, they looked at the group of people at the foot of the mountain and said, "Do you think it's possible?" The group of people at the foot of the mountain frowned and ignored the young man's question. But in fact, their expressions had explained everything. The old man in the lead even said to Lin Ling, "Little friend, thank you for your help. Why don't we join forces? There are fire attribute martial artists among you who can resist the temperature. As long as the temperature doesn't drop, they might not be able to kill us. There's no need for that. We'll tell him why. You, big brother, dream stream, attack." Lin Ling smiled and shook his head as he looked at the person beside him. "That's exactly what I was thinking." Upon hearing this, Yu and the rest attacked. It was fine if he didn't make a move, but once he did, the heavens fell and the earth cracked. Yu had an ultimate desolate body. Although her realm was low, the word ultimate was not to be disgraced. As for Sakura and company, although they did not have the ultimate desolate body, their talent was not weak either. Furthermore, they were only 3 realms lower than the youth on the mountaintop, so what was there to fear? Moreover, they had many talismans in their hands, which were enough to kill them easily. Therefore, when they made their move, the surrounding area fell silent. The group of people at the foot of the mountain opened their mouths wide and were speechless. So powerful. This was a group of geniuses of the 9 prefectures, and their talents were not weak. Bang bang bang. Before the young men on the mountaintop could react, Yu and the others had already killed a few of them. All of them were like clay chickens and pottery dogs. How can they be so strong? The youth leading the group had a drastic change in expression as he began to panic. At this moment, he finally understood that this group of people had followed Yi Tianxia for protection, but in fact, they did not need it. This group of geniuses, who came from nowhere, could easily kill them. Leave immediately. The youth leading the group did not dare to stay any longer as he hurriedly fled into the distance. Rumble. However, just as he moved, a gigantic stone tablet came crashing down from the sky with a deafening sound. Time and space seemed to be frozen at this moment. The youth's eyes widened as a suppressive feeling, as though he had seen a god, arose spontaneously. "Remember, the person who will kill you is the real son of the demon." A cold voice suddenly sounded in his ears, causing the youth's expression to change drastically. He looked at the ground in disbelief as the blue-robed youth pointed at him and said coldly, "Son of the demon, it's them." The youth knew that he had kicked a metal plate. After all, he knew how terrifying the son of the demon and company were. It was said that even a late-stage half-sage had been defeated by their combined forces. Was this really the group that needed Yi Tianxia's protection? Fuck off, he had been tricked. Perhaps not even Yi Tianxia would have imagined that the people around him were in fact even more terrifying than he was. Bang! With all sorts of unwillingness, the youth leading the group was crushed to death by the space and time divine tablet. This youth was only at the 5th level of the half-sage realm. Although he possessed the extreme ice god bloodline, his talent had yet to mature. His strength was inferior to even the number 1 genius of the spirit province, Xiang Anning, so how could he possibly be Lin Ling's match? Rumble. Shockwaves lingered in the skies. After a long time, everything finally calmed down. As for the group of people at the foot of the mountain, they were like ducks that had been grabbed by the neck. They stood there in a daze. This was because they had heard that this group of people were the son of the demon, the bandits that had caused the divine dreamland to shake. "You are the legendary son of the demon, son of the dragon, and death of sun." The old man leading the group couldn't help but bitterly smile as he spoke. Hearing this, Sunset Brilliance was standing not too far away, speechless. "Since you know, then act according to the rules. Hand over 90% of your treasures, leave behind 10%, and then screw off." Lin Ling turned around and smiled at the group of people. Hearing this, the group of people didn't have any resentment. This was because without the son of the demon, they would have undoubtedly died today. "I never thought that we would be saved by the son of the demon. The old man obediently handed over his treasures. He bowed to Lin Ling and then led the group away. This appearance left Lin Ling and the others stunned. They had been robbed and yet they were still so grateful to them. Out of everyone here, perhaps only this group of people would be so grateful. I know that you are the true son of the demon, because you act according to your principles. However, if you are collecting golden stones, it is best if you immediately head east. This is because I heard that Noah's God boat has appeared there. Faintly, the old man's voice also floated over. Lin Ling was stunned for a moment before he smiled and said, "Thank you. There's no need for that. Rather, I hope that you can rob everyone in the divine dreamland. Also, according to your principles, we have been robbed once. If we meet again, you shouldn't rob us again. That is indeed the principle." Good, then I'm finally at ease. After a brief conversation, the group of people finally vanished without a trace. As for Lin Ling and the others, they stood where they were, speechless. This was the first time they had encountered such strange people. However, their eyes soon turned to the distance. Lin Ling, can we believe their words? Dreamflow frowned. Chapter 31-35. The son of demon has arrived. We've already collected so much, we can't give up halfway. I estimate that the origin of these golden stones is absolutely not small. Second brother, let's go to the east. Good. Since they say it's Noah's God boat, we can't miss it. Yes. Finally, Lin Ling decided to head to the east and compete for the mysterious Noah's God boat. The group quickly hurried on their way. Before long, purple thunder appeared in front of them, shaking the heavens and earth. It was like a divine light illuminating the divine dreamland. This caused the complexions of Lin Ling and the others to change. What a terrifying pressure. Could there be a god in the divine dreamland? Luo Riyao frowned and said. Even his body was trembling slightly. This isn't the method of a god, but a great enchantment array. Lin Ling stared at the distant skies, his body shivering. But, this wasn't a shiver of fear, but a shiver of excitement. This was because the great enchantment array of a god possessed a fatal temptation to Lin Ling and even Li Xiaoyao. And this was a characteristic that every enchantment master possessed. As the group approached, the purple thunder in the skies became increasingly large, forming a giant pool of thunder. Occasionally, one could hear pained cries, as if powerhouses had died beneath this purple thunder. As for the distant green mountains, a massive number of martial artists had gathered there. They simply didn't dare to cross this pool of thunder. Without reaching the late half-saint realm, I fear it will be difficult to cross this pool of thunder. That's right. I saw a middle half-saint powerhouse before, but they all died beneath the devastation of this pool of thunder. Solemn voices of discussion drifted out. In the central region, the strongest half-saint powerhouses of the 9 provinces were gathered there. There was the Flying Dragon Organization, the Divine Escort Mansion, the Heavenly Court, the 100 Great Bloodlines, and so forth. The battle there could be called world-shaking. Even watching this battle from afar, one's heart would surge with excitement. I wonder who will take the Noah's God boat in the end. I think it will be Yi Shui. This Yi Shui is the descendant of the Miao faction's divine inheritance. In terms of the Tao of enchantment, who in the half-saint realm can surpass her? Some of the older elders said word by word. Their words caused the younger generation to suck in a breath of cold air. The Miao school's divine inheritance was the largest gathering place of world spiritists in the 9 provinces. Ordinary people simply didn't have the qualifications to enter the Miao school. It was an existence looked down upon by millions of people. Look, the battle over there is getting more and more intense. All the big shots want to get Noah's Ark. The crowd once again looked into the distance. They could only see some old monsters who had been famous for thousands of years continuously colliding with the divine lightning in the sky in an attempt to obtain Noah's divine ark. However, the rising stars of the younger generation were not weak either. There were people who did not understand the Tao of world spirit techniques, yet they managed to break through the spirit formations with brute force. Of course, the entire process was even more difficult. Another group of people is preparing to enter the lightning pool divine land. Suddenly, someone curiously looked into the distance and saw 6 silhouettes moving quickly under the green mountain. They were approaching the central area. There's no need to look at the initial stage of the semi-sage realm. They're just cannon fodder. But it wasn't long before someone shook his head and spoke. After that, they shot their gazes towards the distance and paid no further attention to the cannon fodder. As for the so-called cannon fodder, it was Lin Ling's group. Moreover, as they got closer to the central area, Lin Ling and the others became more and more excited. If they could obtain the treasure left behind by the god, the spirit province would be peaceful for 10,000 years. Who are you people? Unrelated people are not allowed to approach the divine land. At that moment, a cold shout suddenly came from the front. Several middle-stage semi-sage experts were blocking the path. Obviously, they were people from big powers and they were preventing outsiders from joining the competition for the divine ark. I'll give you a chance. Within the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, disappear from my sight. The tall and sturdy man in the lead puffed out his chest and said. Seeing that, Sakura and the others quickly looked towards Lin Ling, as if they wanted to get Lin Ling's order. Finally, Lin Ling swept his gaze towards the distance and said with a nod, "You people are truly unlucky." After he finished speaking, he waved his hand. After receiving Lin Ling's order, Sakura and the others immediately smiled. This was because they didn't have many spirit talismans left. Thus, every spirit talisman had to play a role, such as now. Rumble rumble rumble. Spirit talismans were waved out by Sakura and the others. A terrifying strength erupted, as if the heavens and earth were falling apart. Seeing this, the group of people's pupils fiercely trembled. Suddenly, someone cried out in alarm, "It's them! The son of demon!" In the rumors, when the son of demon appears, a spirit talisman will descend. If a divine decree arrives, then even a late half-sage powerhouse will be smashed to the ground. What? Son of demon? That group of people that plundered the divine dreamland and caused such a great disturbance? The expressions of the others changed greatly when they heard this. The ferocious reputation of the devil's son was like thunder to their ears. However, there were also some people who didn't believe it. He smiled disdainfully, "So, all of you are the devil's son that gave rise to much discussion. I thought all of you were formidable figures. So, it turns out that you're just a group of ants at the initial stage of the half-saint stage." Bang! However, just as he finished speaking, several spirit talismans came crashing down. There were flames and thunder, directly turning him into charcoal. His entire body emitted black smoke. He pointed at Lin Ling and the others, as if he wanted to say something. But in the end, with a loud bang, he was smashed to the ground. Everyone's eyes twitched. Although it was rumored that the methods of the son of demon were extremely fierce, it was only today that they realized just how ferocious they were. Pa! Without waiting for them to speak any nonsense, Lin Ling waved his hand and a spirit talisman appeared. Borrowing the increased speed of the spirit talisman, he threw himself at one of them. A giant sword came smashing down like a door. Bang! A 5th-level half-sage powerhouse was smashed to the ground. Before he fainted, he said in shock, "How is this possible? A half-sage actually has 60 worlds of speed. That's even faster than me." Before this, he thought he could rely on 50 worlds of speed to avoid the encirclement of the son of demon. But, reality proved that this was useless. How could he know that Lin Ling's own speed was 50 worlds of speed? In addition to the spirit talisman's 10 worlds of speed, it was impossible for him to easily escape. Bang! 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 After that, those experts were blasted unconscious one by one. After the time for an incense stick to burn, the vigorous half-saint realm experts from before were now lying on the ground like stray dogs. You are too slow. Now, immediately loot the treasures and leave. Lin Ling kept his sword and said to Yu Yu and the others at the same time. If the martial artists on the Green Mountain in the distance heard this, they would be so angry that their teeth would itch. He only used 30 minutes to deal with the middle stage half-sage. How could he complain that the speed was too slow? We will work harder. Before Yu Yu and the others said anything, Luo Ri Yao had already nodded as if he had been taught a lesson. Chapter 31-36. Snatch the Boat of God. Sons of Demon, they've also come. So they are the sons of Demon. No one thought that Lin Ling's group would be so famous within the divine dreamland. After they appeared, even the gods were shocked. The rumors are true. The Sons of Demon are a group of early half-saint juniors. But their strength is simply unheard of. I estimate that they might have come from the underworld. Although I don't know where they come from, they are truly savage. Wherever they go, they pluck the feathers from the geese. Following that, cries of alarm sounded out like a tidal wave. Some people even trembled as they quietly floated down the mountain, afraid that they would be targeted by Lin Ling's group. This was because Lin Ling's group was truly savage. Not to mention the treasures that they carried with them, even some martial artists who were wearing precious armors had their armors pulled out and were lying naked on the ground. In particular, Sunset Brilliance. He came from Fortune Manor, so he held the idea that wasting was shameful. He didn't even let go of a single needle or thread. That should be the legendary Sunset Brilliance. He is truly worthy of being called a ferocious person. Some people glared at Sunset Brilliance. They never thought that this handsome middle-aged man would be so vicious. In fact, this was indeed the case. Wherever Lin Ling's group went, all those that blocked their path were plundered. Moreover, Lin Ling also obtained a massive number of golden stones. Statue of God. And further away from the center, there were several golden statues that exuded an inviolable majesty. These statues clearly represented the gods. And in front of these statues, several figures were looking at them with reverence. It seemed that they wanted to seize these statues but were afraid of arousing the wrath of the gods. Statues could not be humiliated, could not be profaned. This thought rose up in their hearts. This statue of God is definitely a part of Noah's boat of God. However, it seems to have a spirit of its own. It gives me a terrifying feeling, as if a god is looking at me. A youth said with a dignified expression. This youth was Xia Tianyi. Forget it, forget it. Since this statue is like a god, I will give it up and go fight for Noah's boat of God. Finally, Xia Tianyi made a decision. The people at the side also nodded. They all planned to give up on these statues because the divine might of the statues was too strong. However, before they could even take a step forward, the ferocious attacks had already arrived. Boom! The last person in the crowd was directly smashed to the ground by a white bone. What happened? The remaining people's expressions immediately changed and they quickly turned their heads to look. Even Xia Tianyi was the same. However, as soon as he turned around, before he could see who it was, he saw a huge shadow. Most importantly, this shadow was very familiar. Door. I think I've seen him somewhere before. Xia Tianyi said subconsciously before her pupils constricted. Weren't they the bandits who had knocked him out before? You dare. Thinking of this, Xia Tianyi roared angrily. However, accompanying the huge door were several terrifying spirit talismans. Crackle. The ancient lightning was wreaking havoc. Pa pa pa. The ferocious flames were burning. The most important thing was the door that came crashing down from the sky. The triple attack was extremely powerful. This trick again. This time, I'll see clearly who you are. Facing such a terrifying attack, Xia Tianyi could only roar in his heart. He finally saw a blue robe. However, when he wanted to see the person's face clearly, the door had already come crashing down. It was as heavy as 1,000 pounds. Boom! As if history was repeating itself, Xia Tianyi was knocked unconscious again. Then, a figure appeared in front of him and looked at him strangely. This person was Lin Ling previously. He did not know that the opponent was Xia Tianyi. He held the principle of first strike and attacked crazily. Now, he knew that it was this guy again. Looking behind Lin Ling, the other powerhouses had also been taken care of by Yu Yu and the others. They had also looted the treasures and were now walking over. Brother Ling, it's him. Yu Yu had obviously also noticed Xia Tianyi on the ground and could not help but exclaim. The others' eyes twitched, especially when they saw the swollen bun on Xia Tianyi's forehead. Their bitter smiles deepened. He's been hit again. Yeah, if I had known that he was here, I would have let him go with our friendship. This guy is so pitiful. Sakura, Meng Lu, and the others sighed. Ignore him. At worst, we'll compensate him when we see him in the future. We don't have many talismans left. If we run out of talismans, we can't do anything to the late stage of the half-saint realm. Lin Ling shook his head and left directly. Of course, he also took all the statues with him. He did not have so much reverence. God. He, Li Xiaoyao, was a god. As for the distant mountain, many warriors had already locked onto Lin Ling and the others. When they saw Lin Ling and the others looting the statues without hesitation, everyone was silent. As expected of the ferocious son of the devil. After an unknown period of time, an old man finally spoke. This was because Xia Tianyi and the others did not dare to touch the statues. However, Lin Ling and the others dared to take them away without any pressure. It seemed that they also dared to loot a god. Maybe they can get Noah's divine ark. The old man muttered to himself. His words made many people silent. Some of them agreed with this sentence. Lin Ling and the others finally arrived at the central area. This was a golden land. The land was actually made of gold. Looking at the sky, a huge divine ark was floating there. All the lightning was emitted from the divine ark. So big. Lin Ling and the others stopped in their tracks. Luo Riyao and the others exclaimed in surprise. Looking at the divine ark from a close distance, they realized that it was bigger than any world in the myriad of worlds. It was like a divine ark used by a god to help all living beings cross the sea of suffering. Lin Ling's eyes became brighter and brighter. He saw a large number of runes around the divine ark. It was like a heavy stroke left by a god. This was a divine enchantment array. Lin Ling's heart gradually became excited. Looking at the surroundings of the divine ark, he suddenly discovered a large number of warriors. They were obviously trying to get close to the divine ark. As for strength, these people were all in the late stage of the half-sage realm. Many of them were even at the peak of the half-sage realm. Some of them were using brute force to attack and try to enter the divine ark. Some were using enchantments to break the divine ark. The battle in the central area was extremely fierce. It was as if the gods had set the supreme rules and the mortals were racing to see who could reach the divine ark. This seemed to be a great battle of the gods. People of the Yu clan, work harder and break it with brute force. Chapter 31-37. Fight. Huh, you want to rely on brute force to seize the divine boat? Truly a group of barbaric people. You have lost all face for Emperor Yu. However, on the other side, there were also people who spoke. This time, it was the people from the Flying Dragon organization. Following that, the Divine Weapon Mansion, Fu Hang Manor and other major powers also spoke one after another. This caused the battle to become even more intense. All of you will be defeated. However, at this moment, a clear bell-like voice drifted out like the wind, causing the area below the divine boat to become silent. Countless gazes looked at the young girl who spoke. Their expressions all became serious. That was because she was Ye Shui, the successor of the Miao faction's godly inheritance. The Miao faction's godly inheritance was the ancient power closest to the gods. In terms of the spirit formation Tao, it was one of the best in the 9 provinces. That might not be the case. However, while ordinary people were afraid of the blonde girl, there were also people who turned a blind eye. This was a young man with long hair that reached his waist. He was very handsome and looked like a talent. At this moment, he was floating in the sky with his hands behind his back. He was like a comet that attracted countless gazes. Sansheng, the #1 genius of the half-saint realm in the Yan province. Someone recognized the young man. The Yan province was one of the top few divine lands in the 9 provinces. To be able to obtain the title of #1 genius of the half-saint realm, one could see how powerful this young man was. The divine boat can only belong to me, Sansheng. After the handsome young man finished speaking, he immediately used the strength of a peak half-saint realm expert. He used brute force to break through the spirit formation Tao and walked towards the divine boat in the sky. Rumble. At the same time, the sky continued to explode. However, the lightning could not approach the young man. He has at least a desolate body of grade 5 or higher. His cultivation level has also reached 70%. What a powerful genius, using brute force to break through the spirit formation Tao. Among all of us, he is the most relaxed. However, it is still too early to say who will get the divine boat. Seeing this, the people from the various major powers were not to be outdone. They also used brute force to break through the spirit formation Tao and walked towards the divine boat. You dare to look down on our Miao faction's godly inheritance? You will know how powerful I am. As for the golden-haired girl, her hands were also fluttering in the air as she created numerous complex spirit formations. She was using formations to break through formations. She was a genuine purple-robed world spiritist. Purple-cloaked world spiritist. That was the highest rank among world spiritists. On the distant Green Mountain and around the central area, all the warriors were looking up at the sky, waiting to see who would obtain the boat of God. However, at this moment, several figures charged into the sky. This group of people were all at the initial stage of the half-saint stage. Who is this? There was no doubt that many people laughed mockingly. An initial stage half-saint expert dared to come into contact with a god. This was simply courting death. It's the sons of devils. On the other hand, on the endless green mountains in the distance, those martial artists were trembling with fear. Sure enough, the son of demon had also joined the battle of gods. Of course, towards Lin Ling's group, the various big shots clearly did not think much of them. Because they knew that there was an enormous pressure of the gods in the surroundings of the divine ark, and no one below the half-saint realm would be able to approach it. Not to mention trying to break the formation with a barrier. In the hearts of the various big shots, that group of people was doomed. Indeed, when Lin Ling and company approached the boat of God, the terrifying lightning swept over. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, as though it was the punishment of the gods. You, brother, it's up to you. However, in the face of such a terrifying pressure, Lin Ling did not retreat. Instead, he roared angrily. Good. Behind Lin Ling, voices sounded in unison. Following that, they saw the powerful ultimate desolate body appear. It was Yu. She did not use any means, but she used her talent to resist the lightning. As for Sakura and company, they threw out all their talismans, turning the area around them into a forbidden land. Crackle. When all the strength was released, all the warriors in the central area were dumbfounded. The various big shots never expected that this group of ants would have such strength. This was because they could clearly see that the strength unleashed by Lin Ling and company barely blocked the lightning of God. Who are they? At this moment, no one dared to underestimate Lin Ling and company. Brother Ling, go for it. Go for it. And after Yu and company used up all their talismans, they could only look at Lin Ling with anticipation. This boat of God will be taken by me, the son of the demon. Lin Ling nodded his head firmly. Although it was easy for him to throw out the talismans, every time he threw them out, he, Lin Ling, had to spend a large sum of money. Hence, if he could not obtain the boat of God, he, Lin Ling, would suffer a great loss. Go for it. I, the son of the dragon, will be watching you. I, the son of the bone, will be your strongest backing. I'll fuck you to death. No, the son of the sun is also here. Seeing Lin Ling rush into the lightning, Yu and company shouted in excitement. If they obtained the boat of God, they could also help the spirit state. The spirit state treated them like family. Now that the spirit state was in trouble, how could they stand by and do nothing? Crackle. At this moment, terrifying lightning engulfed Lin Ling. Of course, these lightning bolts had been struck by the talismans several times, so their power had weakened quite a bit. However, it still made Lin Ling grimace in pain. The lightning punishment of God was clearly not something he could withstand at the moment. Lin Ling also pushed his strength to the limit. With the Tyrant Song sword in hand, he shot out the great solar calamity bow at the same time. The powerful force immediately blew away the scattered lightning snakes, allowing Lin Ling to get closer and closer to the boat of God. What is the background of this group of sons of the demon? Lin Ling's unstoppable speed caused the expressions of the various big shots to become even more solemn. They did not have any impression of Lin Ling. It was as if he had appeared out of nowhere. However, after his appearance, he had immediately stirred up a huge wave in the world of the half-step saint realm. He will fail. The number one genius of the Yen state, the third son, said with a cold look in his eyes. In fact, he was very unhappy. In the world of the half-step saint realm, he was originally the most dazzling existence. However, with the appearance of Ye Shui and the arrival of these sons of the demon, his light immediately dimmed by a lot. He was the number one half-step saint genius of the Yen state. How could he be trampled on by these pieces of trash? In fact, even Ye Shui was very unhappy. However, she soon sneered. Although he has passed through the area of the lightning of God, it only means that he can get close to the boat of God. Because he is not strong enough, it is impossible to break through with brute force. He can only break through with a barrier. However, a barrier? Is there anyone who can compare with me, the godly disciple of the Miao sect? A confident voice came out of Ye Shui's mouth. Although she was arrogant and confident, she did have the ability to back up her confidence. This was because everyone in the land of the 9 prefectures knew of the godly disciple of the Miao sect. Therefore, not only did she think so, but so did all the big shots. However, just as they had this thought, they saw Lin Ling's hands in the other corner of the huge boat of God. Xianyang Ghost Formation, TSK. Amazing, amazing. Watch me break you. Lin Ling's hands were faster than lightning. He set up a barrier in the void to fight against the divine barrier formation. Moreover, as soon as his barrier was set up, the divine barrier formation seemed to be easily broken. Chapter 31-38. Een Dragon God. Even Ye Shui was the same. Just what was this fellow's background? Why was his boundary enchantment so terrifying? Of course, even Li Xiaoyao hadn't come into contact with many god enchantments. Thus, after breaking through many enchantments, even more powerful enchantments arrived. These enchantments could easily obliterate Lin Ling. He will definitely die. Seeing Lin Ling face the most terrifying enchantment, the various big shots coldly shouted. They clenched their fists, afraid that Lin Ling would enter the divine boat. Besides leaving immediately, he has no other way out. Ye Shui clenched her teeth and said. And this was indeed the case. The center of the god enchantment was currently suppressing Lin Ling. Lin Ling was clearly racing against the god of death. Would the enchantment suppress him faster, or would he break it faster? Interesting, interesting. In front of this ghost genius, there is no enchantment in this world that cannot be broken. However, when everyone thought that Lin Ling would inevitably retreat, Lin Ling instead smiled. This was a smile of excitement. It was a smile that thirsted for knowledge. It was as if dying in this array was a glorious death. And this was also the awareness that a boundary master should have. Silence. The divine dreamland was even more silent than before. Some of the people who resented Lin Ling also had their minds shaken at this moment. Facing a boundary master that thirsted for knowledge and was even willing to risk his life, they really couldn't bring themselves to resent him. Because this was also a madman. Even Ye Shui covered her mouth. Her master's words echoed in her mind. Boundary masters were like moths flying into a flame. Although they would die if they threw themselves into the flame, the process of throwing themselves into the flame was extremely attractive. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Colorful enchantments, trillions upon trillions of them, submerged Lin Ling. As for Lin Ling, his entire body was like an illusion, slowly dissipating. Did he fail? Someone murmured to himself. In this world, there is no enchantment that can stop the ghost genius. However, just as the voice fell, everyone saw the blue-robed youth, who was like a reflection of water, gently point his finger. This finger was like an immortal pointing the way. The entire god enchantment instantly froze, and the array stopped operating. This finger seemed simple, but in fact, tens of billions of enchantments were brewing within it. Then, Lin Ling's illusory figure began to step forward, walking towards the divine boat in the sky. His blue robe fluttered, as if a boundary god had arrived. In the blink of an eye, time. Seeing the blue-robed young man walking forward with large strides, Ye Shui's delicate body trembled. That was because that was the technique of a world spiritist god. In the blink of an eye, time. This was a technique that only appeared in the era of the gods. In the current 9 continents, there were no more than 10 people who possessed such a technique. And it had only appeared Miao and Miao. Who is he? This time, Ye Shui could not help but be curious about the blue-robed youth. In fact, all the half-saints in Jojo had the same question in their minds. All the half-saints in Jojo were curious about who the blue-robed youth was. This was because in their eyes, Lin Ling had already disappeared from the divine boat. This meant that the blue-robed youth had seized Noah's divine boat. Rumble. At the same time, Noah's divine boat in the sky began to fall to the ground, and finally hit the ground. Although all the enchantments had disappeared, the golden light on its surface prevented anyone from getting close. Even a saint would not be able to do anything about it. The son of demon has succeeded. This group of ferocious juniors not only robbed the half-saints, but they also robbed the big shots from all sides. In the distant Qingshan, all the warriors witnessed this with their own eyes. Other than shock, they were still shocked. Without a doubt, this moment belonged to the son of demon. Bastard, how dare you steal my light? The triplet also landed on the ground. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. He still felt like he was dreaming. Because all the big shots were fighting for the divine boat, a group of ants suddenly appeared, and then one person overcame all the difficulties and finally entered the divine boat. If this was not a dream, then what was? The triplet could let the big shots get the divine boat, but he could not let some unknown outsiders get it. I'll kill you all. The triplet's gaze quickly fell on Sakura and the others. However, just as he was about to attack, the ground suddenly shook, and the golden ground began to crack. Rolling Yin winds like clouds spread out, and finally formed a huge Yin dragon in the sky. As soon as the Yin dragon appeared, all the warriors were shocked. Because they could see that it was the soul of a dragon, and it was at the level of a dragon god. Moreover, there were differences in strength between dragon gods. For example, Lin Ling's 8 divine dragon was a divine ability of the sky dragon, and the sky dragon was of a higher level than the dragon god. Great, we must get this Yin dragon. The divine boat was stolen by that despicable son of demon, so this Yin dragon should belong to us. Attack! As if they were staring at a delicious cake, all the big shots looked at the Yin dragon hovering in the sky. Even the triplet didn't care about killing Sakura and the others. He also wanted to obtain the Yin dragon's soul. After all, if he left the divine dreamland, as the #1 genius of the flame state, if he didn't obtain any harvests, others would laugh at him. But if he obtained the Yin dragon's soul, that was enough for others to look up to and worship him. As for Ye Shui, she didn't do it for the worship of others, but for the enchantment array. This is the soul of Noah's divine boat, it is the best treasure to guard the enchantment array. Looking at the Yin dragon hovering in the sky, Ye Shui immediately attacked. Everyone else attacked one after another, constantly attacking the Yin dragon in the sky. But soon, they discovered that ordinary attacks had no effect. The Yin dragon was like an illusion, unable to be attacked at all. Look, there is a reverse scale between the Yin dragon's eyes. Although it is only the size of a thumb, that is the only way to subdue the Yin dragon. At this time, a knowledgeable old man let out a cry of surprise. As soon as he said this, many people also hurriedly attacked the reverse scale, and the effect was very significant. Roar! After being attacked continuously, the Yin dragon hovering in the sky seemed to wake up at this moment and roared crazily. Of course, it also began to attack, sweeping through the half-saint powerhouses on the ground, killing many powerhouses. However, many people obviously didn't intend to give up on such a precious treasure like the Yin dragon, so they still attacked. However, although the attack was effective, it couldn't immediately subdue the Yin dragon because the reverse scale was only the size of a thumb. In addition, it was constantly moving. Therefore, even if many people attacked, not everyone could succeed. Yin dragon, the soul of the divine boat. If Lin Ling obtains it, the divine boat will be even more powerful. Chapter 31-39 Flying Dragon Assassination. That Yin dragon is not something we can fight against. Let's just forget about it. We have already obtained the divine boat, so we should leave some treasures for them. Otherwise, it will cause public anger. However, Xian Yuangu shook his head and said. His words caused Yu Yu and the others to nod their heads. Because, they also saw how crazy those big shots were for the divine boat. So, if they were to snatch the Yin dragon's soul, they would definitely be angered to death. I wonder how Brother Ling is doing. Let's leave this place first. Earlier, a young man wanted to kill us, but he was interrupted by the Yin dragon. But if the Yin dragon is subdued, that person will definitely attack us. Yes. Right now, we don't have any talismans, so we are no match for him. Yu Yu and Xian Yuangu looked at each other and finally suggested. Sakura and the others nodded and quietly left. They hid in the Green Mountains and quietly waited for Lin Ling to come out. At that moment, Lin Ling had already entered the divine boat. The divine boat was like a huge ancient city. It was dazzling with all kinds of spirit formations in every corner. This caused Lin Ling's mood to become excited. His 10,000 elephant demonic eyes appeared and he unceasingly comprehended those spirit formations. He was different from other spirit formation masters. Firstly, he had the memories of the ghost genius Li Xiaoyao. Secondly, he had the 10,000 elephant demonic eyes of the 6 great divine eyes of the universe. He could see through everything. So, he could break and comprehend spirit formations much faster than ordinary people. Walking along the corridor, not long after, Lin Ling finally arrived at a large hall. This place was filled with an ancient aura, as if it was the abode of a god before. In the hall, a bright gem floated in the air. It was mysterious, and outside of the gem, there were tadpole-like runes floating. The true formation core. Seeing that, Lin Ling couldn't help but rejoice. He knew very well that as long as he obtained that bright stone, he would be able to control the divine boat. In reality, with Lin Ling's spirit formation Tao, he could also use formations to break formations and forcibly control it. But, that would destroy the divine boat and it would take a long time. However, the spirit province only gave him 1 year. After that, Lin Ling hurriedly walked towards the resplendent gemstone. Of course, the process seemed simple, but in fact, the ground was covered with vicious enchantments. If he couldn't break it, he would have to die with regret. This also made Lin Ling not dare to move carelessly. He could only solve it step by step. However, as Lin Ling got closer and closer to the resplendent gemstone, an invisible killing intent suddenly and strangely approached him. This killing intent was so strong that it was something that Lin Ling had never seen before. This caused Lin Ling's expression to change greatly. He wanted to activate his means to resist, but it was too late. However, at the critical moment, little Kunlun protected its master. It turned into black vines and surrounded Lin Ling like armor. Whoosh! A cold light flashed, and a large number of vines were cut off. The cold light didn't seem to be very powerful, but it was actually a real killing move. It could probably kill even a sage. Fortunately, Lin Ling felt that the person who attacked seemed to be very weak. Otherwise, his soul would have been scattered today. What a powerful junior. Not only can you break the enchantments here, but you can also sense my killing intent. Your soul power has definitely reached level 5000. At this moment, in the corner of the hall, a shadow appeared. It seemed to have walked out from the darkness. Most importantly, this shadow seemed to be unafraid of the enchantments around it and could move freely. You're the one who wants to kill me. Lin Ling also stared at the shadow. That's right. This Noah's divine ark belongs to me. No one can touch it. Little guy, you can avoid my assassination once, but I don't believe you can avoid it a second time. In here, you can only be slowly killed by me. The shadow let out a sinister laugh. Seeing this, Lin Ling's expression became serious. The shadow's words were indeed reasonable. Lin Ling couldn't move freely and could only stand in place like a puppet. Otherwise, he would definitely be killed by the enchantments. Unless, the other party gave him enough time to break the enchantments. But obviously, this was impossible. Now you know what kind of situation you're in. Let me give you a piece of advice. You'd better kill yourself because dying under my venomous spider leather dagger is very painful. Do you see the bones on the ground? This is the final fate of everyone who enters here. The shadow said again. Hearing this, Lin Ling didn't say a word. He looked to the side and indeed saw many bones. These bones were in a miserable state. It seemed that they had suffered inhumane torture before they died. This also meant that a long time ago, it wasn't that no one had stepped into the divine ark. I'll give you 3 breaths to consider. Seeing Lin Ling's silence, the shadow continued to exert pressure on Lin Ling's heart. And this kind of pressure was indeed terrifying. Because he couldn't move and could only welcome the shadow's assassination. No one could accept this. A martial artist would rather fight a vigorous battle and die in the end than be killed like a puppet. 1, 2, 3. It seems that you've finally chosen the path of death. Then don't blame me. After the shadow counted, seeing that Lin Ling was indifferent, he finally revealed a terrifying murderous intent. I know who you are. But at this moment, Lin Ling finally raised his head and said indifferently. "Oh, interesting, interesting. Then tell me." Hearing this, the shadow suddenly laughed and didn't immediately kill. "You're good at killing, and it's difficult for me to detect you. You should be a member of the Flying Dragon organization. Moreover, you're already dead. What's left here is only a soul, but your soul is already so strong. This shows how powerful you were when you were alive." Lin Ling said word by word. The shadow suddenly fell silent. After a moment, he praised, "You're right. I underestimated you. Next, is there anything else? I reckon that you should be someone who came here before, but because you touched the body destruction enchantment, you were luckier than the others. Your physical body was destroyed, and in the end, your soul was left behind. But you'll never be able to leave here. Am I right?" Boom. After these words, the shadow clearly trembled. Clearly, Lin Ling guessed correctly again. "I suddenly have no interest in listening to your nonsense. Next, prepare to die." The shadow seemed to be angry, and his resentment overflowed. He turned into darkness and disappeared from the hall. The ice-cold dagger stabbed towards Lin Ling. However, facing the shadow's assassination, Lin Ling didn't panic. His eyes flickered with a sharp light. "Although I can't leave this place, it doesn't mean that I can't do anything to you. Of course, if you still have a physical body, then I'll definitely die. Unfortunately, you're just a soul." Bang! Bang! At the same time, an invisible soul force spread out, and the illusion god True Inheritance appeared. Shio! A cold light flashed, but it landed on the illusion, causing the shadow's heart to tremble. At first, he thought that he had killed Lin Ling, but he was still a powerful assassin from an assassin organization. He immediately discovered that Lin Ling was still alive, and his dagger had landed on the illusion. Chapter 3140. Who says I only have 2 arrows? You have some ability, but your range of movement is less than a meter. I don't believe your illusion can last for long. But soon, the shadow spoke again. His desire to kill Lin Ling had become even stronger. Although he could not break the illusion, Lin Ling could only move within half a meter. In this range, as long as his dagger swept across, he could still kill both the illusion and Lin Ling at the same time. I said that although I can't leave this place, it doesn't mean that I can't do anything to you. However, just as the shadow finished speaking, he saw Lin Ling's illusion disappear like a fog. Instead, the real Lin Ling appeared. And the real Lin Ling was holding a 5-meter-long divine bow with a dragon's roar. The bow emitted a majestic aura that caused the shadow's soul to become unstable. This was the power of the Buddha gods. It was the most unyielding and most young. The heavenly dragon protector. Phew! At the same time, the dragon bow shot out. It was faster than lightning, and it was a fatal arrow. At this moment, the shadow's expression changed greatly. He never expected that a junior at the beginning stage of the half-sage realm would be so difficult to deal with. He knew very well that although Lin Ling could not leave this place, he knew that the arrow could pierce through the air. The bow is not bad, but if it can't hit me, that's all there is to it. However, the shadow was indeed a shadow. When the fatal arrow shot out, he actually dispersed like a fog. Following that, in the billowing black fog, a soul with a human upper body and a black smoke-like lower body quickly shuttled through the hall. It had to be said that the shadow's methods were indeed sharp. The first arrow from the great solar calamity bow had missed. This made Lin Ling's eyes flash. However, the power of the dragon god in his body surged into the dragon bow once again. The second arrow arrived instantly. With the Emperor's help, Bodhi will not retreat. If my Buddha is firm, if hell is not empty, I swear not to become a Buddha. After the second arrow was shot, the shadow was clearly panicking. This was because he could dodge the first arrow because his soul still had a talent from the past. That talent was from one of the 100 bloodlines. It was a 6th grade desolate body, charm tumor divine body. This was a relatively unconventional talent among the darkness elemental talents. Moreover, it was very suitable for assassins. This talent wasn't hidden in the darkness, but a self-created darkness. It was formless, colorless, and impossible to guard against. With this talent, Umbra was able to barely dodge Lin Ling's first arrow. However, when the second arrow arrived, it immediately became difficult for him to dodge. After all, he was just a soul. Without a physical body, he couldn't display his talent to the limit. Rumble. Buddhist chants reverberated in the hall. Fortunately, the shadow dodged the second arrow. He appeared in the corner of the hall, his soul somewhat illusory. Clearly, although he was not killed by the dragon bow, his soul was injured. Therefore, he looked at Lin Ling in horror. He didn't expect that Lin Ling would have the means to kill him even if he didn't leave his original spot. This kid was more like an assassin than him. For a moment, the two of them looked at each other. Neither of them dared to make a move. Lin Ling feared Shadow's assassination dagger. As for the Shadow, it was afraid of Lin Ling's godly arrows that never missed. Time passed by just like that. Shadow's soul gradually recovered. He said in a low voice, "Your arrows are indeed amazing. Unfortunately, they can't kill me. As long as I attack, your soul will scatter." Sigh. Hearing this, Lin Ling's face was expressionless like a cold-blooded killer. He also said, "Your fatal strike is indeed powerful, but you can't avoid my illusions. I have the confidence to kill you with one arrow after you attack." Sigh. Hearing this, Shadow fell silent. Lin Ling's words made sense. He couldn't see through the illusion. If he couldn't kill Lin Ling in one shot, then he would definitely die if Lin Ling shot an arrow. This meant that neither of them could do anything to the other. What a terrifying junior. My Flying Dragon organization's 13 kill experts have killed saints and gods, but I can't do anything to you. Sigh. Finally, the Shadow let out a voice of praise. Moreover, the darkness around him dispersed and turned into a white-haired old man. The old man's eyes were pitch black, and it was an extremely strange sight. "How about this, let's shake hands and make peace. You leave here, and I won't kill you." "Yes." That old man proposed. "You can't do anything to me, and you want me to leave here? You're thinking too highly of yourself." "Yes." However, the dragon bow appeared in Lin Ling's hand again. The dragon god roared, and an arrow was aimed at Shadow. "Don't do anything useless. 2 arrows can't kill me. Moreover, be careful not to reveal a flaw and be killed by my one shot." "Yes." Seeing this, the old man sneered. This junior was too greedy. He didn't want to give up Noah's divine ark. Moreover, his words made sense. Because the strength of the two sides were equal, the one who attacked first would be at a disadvantage at some point. For example, if Lin Ling's 2 arrows didn't kill him, then he would be in a weakened state, and it would be easier to kill him. However, Lin Ling still remained silent and shot an arrow. Heavenly Dragon's protection, good karma increases day by day. It's useless. When the arrow was shot, the Shadow began to move and dodged the arrow again. But soon, the second arrow followed closely behind. However, it was still dodged by Shadow. "You're in your weakest state right now. Die." Since the 2 arrows had no effect, Shadow also used a fatal attack. He turned into a streak of black light, escaped into the void, and shot toward Lin Ling unpredictably. In his opinion, Lin Ling had revealed a flaw, and this strike would definitely take Lin Ling's life. The corners of his mouth even revealed a sneer. This was the 230th person to die in Noah's divine ark. However, at this time, a sudden change occurred. Lin Ling's mouth also drew a sneer. Within his body, the dragon bones emitted cracking sounds. The fierce power of the dragon god once again poured into the dragon palace, causing the dragon bow to shine brightly. It had to be known that during this period of time, he had swallowed a large number of treasures. His physical strength had already increased, and even the potential of the dragon bones had been stimulated. However, time was limited, and he hadn't comprehended the third arrow of the great solar calamity bow. And today, he could use this killer to comprehend the third arrow. Endless Buddhist chants and the resplendent heavenly dragon floated in Lin Ling's mind at this moment, causing him to close his eyes slightly. When he opened them, a wisp of light flickered. Third arrow, gods and ghosts assist, peaceful dreams. Whoosh! The third arrow was shot out. This arrow brought out gods and ghosts, forming an illusion like a dreamy shadow. That arrow finally made Shadow feel the taste of death. How is this possible? Shadow cried out in alarm, his voice extremely sharp. Clearly, he didn't expect Lin Ling to shoot a third arrow. Who said I only have 2 arrows? Lin Ling's indifferent voice also floated out. The third arrow's power was clearly more terrifying than the first 2, causing Shadow to beg for mercy. Spare me. Killing me won't do you any good. He was a dignified Flying Dragon Organization's 13 kills expert. He had killed saints and gods, but at this moment, he was actually begging for mercy from a junior. Chapter 3141. Control the Divine Arc. Not killing you doesn't seem to benefit me at all. Hearing this, Lin Ling's eyes flashed. I can make all the assassins under the 13 kills of the Flying Dragon Organization listen to your orders. His soul was about to be destroyed, and the Shadow was clearly ready to throw caution to the wind. However, this sentence made Lin Ling's heart skip a beat. Then, he controlled the third arrow to shoot past the Shadow and finally penetrate the countless enchantments in the hull. This caused the Shadow to freeze in place. His soul continued to tremble. If that arrow had hit him, he would have died without a doubt. He would have been powerless to reverse the situation. This arrow that contained the power of the Buddha God was indeed meant to restrain ghosts. Flying Dragon Organization's 13 kills assassins, why should they listen to your orders? Lin Ling looked at the Shadow and said indifferently. Because I am the king of assassins. Speaking of this, the Shadow's voice was filled with pride. Hearing this, Lin Ling began to ponder. Right now, the Spirit Province was facing the siege of the Heavenly Court. If he could get the Flying Dragon Organization to help, that would be extremely good. Fine, I'll spare your life. I can even take you away from here. Thinking of this, Lin Ling slowly put away the dragon bow. Of course, he was not afraid of the Shadow assassinating him. In fact, after hearing Lin Ling's words, the Shadow soul was shocked. Not to mention killing Lin Ling, it almost treated Lin Ling as a benefactor. It was because his soul was trapped within the barrier of the divine boat, unable to leave for all eternity. How could he not want to leave this place? However, he still didn't believe in Lin Ling, because the number of people who died in the barrier of the divine ark was not small. These people couldn't do anything to Noah's divine ark, so how could a junior succeed so easily? And Lin Ling didn't explain anything. His hands flew, and he began to break the barrier. Moreover, he took a heavy step forward and left his original location. He was no longer trapped within the half-meter range. This caused the Shadow's soul to tremble, and it said in disbelief, "How can you leave this place? You have to know that the surroundings are filled with vicious barriers that can even slaughter saints." However, Lin Ling didn't care about it at all. He continued to break the barrier, and finally, he was getting closer and closer to the bright gem. Because in front of me, you are a junior. When the jewel shone brightly, the Shadow finally heard a cold voice. Junior. In front of the blue-robed youth, the King of Assassins editor. If that was the case, the King of Assassins would definitely not believe it. However, at this moment, the young man who was shrouded in the light of God was indeed like a god who stood at the peak of the 9 prefectures. Boom boom boom. And at that moment, Lin Ling was constantly casting enchantments to collide with the divine light. The divine light was boundless and ancient. It was the divine enchantment array. If he could break through these divine lights, then he would be able to control the entire divine boat. However, Lin Ling's expression also became more and more solemn. The final divine boundary array was indeed quite impressive. If he wanted to break it, he would need a lot of time. However, when he thought of Yu and the others waiting outside, he became worried and sped up. Puff! Not long after, he spat out a mouthful of blood. The faster he wanted to break the barrier, the worse it would be. Be careful. Don't worry, you can take your time. Seeing this, the shadow said in a worried voice. If Lin Ling failed and died here, he would never be able to get out. However, Lin Ling didn't care about his voice at all. His eyes were full of determination. Not only did he not retreat, but he also created more barriers to fight against the god's divine arc. In fact, he didn't need to fight force with force. He could take his time to break the barrier, but if he did, he would have to start from the beginning. Therefore, he didn't plan to give up halfway. In his heart, God. So what? He was a ghost. He was a god. Boom. Finally, with a loud bang, Lin Ling was blasted away and smashed into the barrier wall far away from the hall. This made the shadow even more worried. Soon, Lin Ling stood up with a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He walked forward step by step and was soon covered by the light emitted by the gem. However, this time, the god's light seemed to have merged into Lin Ling's body. It didn't resist him anymore. In fact, the light became much gentler. Finally, Lin Ling's palm gently landed on the dazzling gemstone. The gemstone seemed to sink into a swamp, following Lin Ling's palm and disappearing into his body. Success! The shadow witnessed all this with his own eyes. He was shocked. At the same time, Lin Ling placed one hand behind his back and pointed a finger at the shadow. Immediately, an indescribable feeling of ease filled the shadow's body. In the next instant, the shadow noticed that the spirit formation that bound him had completely disappeared. This meant that the shadow could leave the divine arc. I hope you can keep your promise. Lin Ling said faintly. The shadow looked at Lin Ling solemnly. Then, he smiled and nodded. In his eyes, Lin Ling was indeed very young. He was very sure of this. However, such a young junior was able to do all this. This made him shocked. Now, he could leave and no longer care about Lin Ling. However, subconsciously, he knew that he couldn't go back on his words. Otherwise, the price would be great. In fact, his guess was correct. Although Lin Ling had released the shadow, there was still a barrier hidden in the shadow's soul. It was a fatal barrier. At least for 3 years, this barrier wouldn't disappear. Lin Ling could also use this barrier to shatter the shadow's soul. My name is Duing. Then, the shadow introduced himself. Lin Ling nodded and didn't say anything. With a thought, the scene suddenly changed. The two of them instantly appeared outside the Divine Arkansas. They stepped on the deck of the Divine Arkansas. The deck was full of mysterious barriers that shone with golden light. It made Lin Ling and Duing feel like gods had arrived. Lin Ling's skills undoubtedly made Do Afterimage feel that he was even more mysterious. The thought of resistance hidden in his heart completely disappeared at this moment. Outside the Divine Ark, a fierce battle was going on. It was as if the heavens were falling and the earth was splitting. In the sky, the Een Dragon was rolling. Countless half-saint experts were fired up and constantly attacked the Een Dragon in the sky. The Een Dragon's soul is getting weaker and weaker. I saw it clearly before. This is the inky Frostine dragon, the dragon god of the underworld. TSK, if I can obtain this dragon soul, it will be more important than any treasure. With just you. Dream on. The half-saint experts from the 9 states were not to be outdone. They all wanted to obtain the ultimate treasure. So much so that they didn't notice Lin Ling appearing on the divine ark. In fact, even if they had noticed, they wouldn't have cared. It was obvious that the Yin dragon's soul was more precious. Lin Ling also stared at the Yin dragon's soul. He smiled. This dragon's soul was of a higher level than the dragon soul he had encountered in the Crimson Province. One had to know that many experts had been mobilized for the Crimson Province's dragon's soul. The 9 states 10 vicious had appeared. Even an Yuer had come. From this, one could see how precious a dragon's soul was. Chapter 31-42. Shooting the Dragon with a Bow. This dragon is extraordinary. It was definitely an existence that surpassed the saints when it was alive. Who would have thought that such a colossus would die? As expected of a god. Beside him, Do Afterimage said solemnly. This Yin dragon, I want it. Yes. Lin Ling smiled, then lightly spat out a sentence. His words were calm, but carried a domineering aura. This made Do Afterimage's pupils constrict, then he also laughed. Rumble. In the sky, the Yin dragon roared again and again. The dragon breath was extremely powerful, but the Yin dragon was still a dragon soul, so it could not resist the joint attack of the experts. In particular, the reverse scale on its forehead was being attacked continuously. Of course, the reverse scale was very small, so up until now, no one had managed to deal a fatal blow to the reverse scale. Instead, the attacks of the various experts were all large-scale offensive martial arts, relying on their vigorous strength to only affect the reverse scale. The final moment has arrived. Yes. It's mine. Yes. Yi Shui's spirit was also shaken, a large number of enchantments were waved from her hands, attacking the Yin dragon. As for the triplet, he also used his ultimate technique to the limit, determined to seize the dragon. I wonder who will win this dragon. Yes. The battle is getting more and more intense. Previously, the divine boat was taken by the demonic sun. In my opinion, the Yin dragon's soul must be taken by the Yu family. Nonsense. Do you think Yi Shui and the triplet do not exist? They will definitely be the final winners. Yes. Although Emperor Yu's bloodline is powerful, but there are so many experts gathered here, including the Great Palace of Gods and Demons, the Flying Dragon Organization, Fu Hang Manor, and even the Heavenly Court. Yes. In the distant Green Mountain, the 9 prefectures' martial artists were also discussing. But at this moment, a dragon roared, its voice was loud and clear, even louder than the Yin dragon in the sky. A 5-meter-long dragon bow descended. The arrow was released, the heavenly dragon protection. This arrow was like a comet, with a dazzling tail. Under countless surprised gazes, it shot towards the Yin dragon in the sky, forming a scene of 2 dragons playing with a pearl. This scene was undoubtedly extremely dazzling. The most terrifying thing was that the arrow actually shot directly on the reverse scale of the Yin dragon. Roar, roar, roar. The Yin dragon immediately let out a furious roar, and its dragon soul dimmed significantly. Who? Fuck, what a fierce arrow. It can be said that no arrow has missed. That arrow is comparable to the damage of all the martial artists. That's for sure. That arrow hit the reverse scale. Without a doubt, this heavenly dragon-like Buddha god arrow was earth-shattering, causing the entire divine dreamland to seethe with excitement. It's him. Yeshua and the other experts looked around and saw Lin Ling on the boat of gods. At this moment, each and every one of them was infuriated. Lin Ling had already obtained the divine boat, and now he was here to snatch the dragon's soul. This fellow was simply too greedy. In your dreams. Not only was Yeshua furious, but even Miao Zhou's #1 half-saint genius, Sancheng, was furious. Was his stage going to be snatched by that nameless brat again? The Yin Dragon is mine. However, facing the gazes of millions of martial artists, Lin Ling simply turned a blind eye and indifferently spat out a sentence. This sentence was mixed with a billowing domineering aura, as if it was impossible not to believe it. Brother Ling. Second brother. In the endless green mountains, Yu and the others naturally saw Lin Ling and were overjoyed. This brat is crazy enough. Meng Lu also showed an excited expression. To fight against the 9 states half-saint powerhouses with his own strength, only Lin Ling had this courage. Without a doubt, after Lin Ling appeared, he had become the focus of the half-saint powerhouses of the 9 states. Even Sancheng stared at Lin Ling. The more he looked at Lin Ling, the more unhappy he was. He couldn't help but mock, a mere early half-saint who can't even block a dragon breath of the Yin Dragon dares to speak such arrogant words. However, Lin Ling didn't even look at him. The dragon bow in his hand continued to shoot, and the light of the Buddha god flowed like mercury. Whoosh! The 2 arrows were like comets, one in front and one behind. They shot toward the Yin Dragon in the sky at a speed faster than light. When the arrows flashed, all the martial artists in the world seemed to be short of breath. Everyone roared in their hearts, "Must fail, must fail." They were very angry. They originally wanted to stop Lin Ling, but Lin Ling's arrows were too fast. By the time they reacted, Lin Ling had already shot out his bow. Most importantly, they were entangled with the Yin Dragon and constantly attacked it at close range, but they had only scratched the surface of the Yin Dragon. Lin Ling, on the other hand, was standing in the distance, shooting the Yin Dragon with his bow, waiting for an exhausted enemy. This also made many people secretly envious. An archer had such an advantage. Roar! The comet arrow was like a heavenly dragon protecting the law, and the arrow never missed. The second arrow pierced through the Yin Dragon's reverse scale on its forehead. What an accurate arrow! The Yin Dragon flies very high and fast, and the reverse scale is only as big as a thumb. He actually hit it. Whoosh! At this moment, many people secretly admired. Whoosh! At this moment, the third arrow followed closely, and the arrow never missed. The arrows disappeared into the Yin Dragon's forehead, and the Yin Dragon in the sky suddenly froze. A pair of dragon eyes looked down at Lin Ling, who was on the divine boat. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. The half-saint experts of the 9 states stopped breathing at this moment. What had happened? Had the Yin Dragon's soul been snatched? But soon, the triplet looked up to the sky and roared with complacent laughter. Although he did not know what had happened, it was obvious that the Yin Dragon had not been shot by Lin Ling. This meant that Lin Ling had failed. I have said that the strength of an initial stage half-saint can't shake the Yin Dragon's soul. Now, you have angered the Yin Dragon. Prepare to suffer its wrath. The triplet laughed louder and louder. He even put his hands behind his back, ready to watch the scene of Lin Ling being strangled by the Yin Dragon. As soon as he finished speaking, all the warriors laughed. They had been very nervous before, afraid that the Yin Dragon would be snatched by Lin Ling. But now, they saw that Lin Ling had exhausted all his energy to shoot 3 arrows but still could not kill the Yin Dragon. Naturally, they were happy and excited. Trash! Some martial artists who were too impulsive even cursed it out loud. Huh, what a powerful arrow. Unfortunately, it's too weak. In my opinion, I'm afraid that even we can't kill such an arrow. More than that, I'm afraid it can't even kill a fly. The sky was filled with jeers. All the warriors were venting their depression. Rumble. However, before their laughter died down, the dragon in the sky rolled like a fish that had been thrown ashore and was struggling desperately. Then, under countless horrified gazes, the dragon turned into a ray of light and shot toward Lin Ling. Bang! Chapter 31-43. One kick killed a half-step saint. I'm sorry, but the soul of the dragon is mine. Lin Ling couldn't help but smile when he sensed the rolling power of the soul in the dragon pearl. He slammed the dragon pearl into the deck and let the soul enter the divine boat. Now, the soul of the dragon had returned to Noah's divine boat. At this moment, the entire Noah's divine ark was also shining brightly, and divine light shone everywhere. The blue-robed young man on Noah's divine boat looked like a god. His long hair fluttered in the wind, and he carried 2 swords on his back. He was unforgettable. All the martial artists were completely silent. Robbed again. The divine boat was robbed by the son of demon, and they hadn't even started to take revenge. Next, the son of demon robbed the dragon. Most importantly, they had been fighting the dragon for a long time, and the outcome was about to be decided. Then, the son of demon appeared and used his giant bow to steal the soul of the dragon with 3 arrows. This made everyone feel as if they had been toyed with. Even the endless mountains in the distance were so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Those warriors covered their mouths with their eyes wide open. As expected of the son of demon, he was so cruel. Plucking the feathers from the geese and snatching all the meat. He didn't even leave any soup for the half-step saints of the 9 prefectures. He was ruthless. You're courting death. After a moment of silence, an angry roar finally rang out. Everyone here was a descendant of a big shot in the 9 prefectures, and the forces behind them were all influential in the 9 prefectures. They had sent out so many people, but they didn't get anything. How could they swallow this anger? Moreover, if the news spread out, the 9 prefectures would be in turmoil, and countless warriors would laugh at them. The warriors of the 9 prefectures could understand losing to a saint. The warriors of the 9 prefectures could understand losing to a peak half-step saint. But losing to an initial half-step saint? The warriors of the 9 prefectures couldn't understand. Most importantly, the other party was fighting against the entire 9 prefectures with his own strength. How could the warriors of the 9 prefectures understand this? Kid, hand over the treasure. In the boiling anger, someone had taken the lead to snatch the treasure. It was the people of the heavenly court. The people of the heavenly court reacted so quickly. Let's not slow down. If the divine boat and dragon soul are both taken by the heavenly court, then our trip here today would have been in vain. The people of the other forces shouted, unwilling to be outdone. Their eyes were red, and they had forgotten about Lin Ling's dazzling brilliance. Instead, their eyes were occupied by the 2 treasures, as if they had already obtained the treasures left behind by the 2 gods. You guys are from the heavenly court. Lin Ling put his hands behind his back and asked indifferently as he looked at the restless heavenly court experts. Heavenly court's azure lightning. The person who killed you is called Dustfall Flower from the heavenly court. In the face of Lin Ling's questioning, the heavenly court's experts immediately shouted coldly. Their words were filled with pride, as if they were telling everyone that the heavenly court was going to take the treasure today. Heavenly court, heavenly court. Lin Ling nodded. With a wave of his hand, all of the golden stones he obtained in the divine dreamland flew out, causing his surroundings to shine with a dazzling golden light. Don't you know what fate awaits those from the heavenly court if they encounter me? Lin Ling said once more. Die. The heavenly court's powerhouses simply didn't care. In their opinion, although Lin Ling had some ability, his boundary was too low. He wouldn't be able to block so many of them. It had to be known that there were many late half-saint realm powerhouses here, and there were even peak half-saint powerhouses. And as the other influences saw the heavenly court's people crazily attacking, their eyes turned even redder. But at this time, Lin Ling had already floated up. He stood in the void, his hands held behind his back. If those from the heavenly court encounter me, their only fate is death. As his voice fell, the sole of his foot stomped down. With this stomp, it was like he had activated a divine enchantment array formation. The massive Noah's divine ark beneath his feet began to rumble like thunder. Tens of millions of arcs of thunder gushed out like sea urchins, sweeping through the earth like a tide. The surrounding area instantly became the forbidden land of thunder. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The heavenly court powerhouses that tried to kill Lin Ling weren't even able to approach Lin Ling before they were destroyed by the thunder emitted by the Noah's divine ark. Not even their corpses were left behind. Looking at Lin Ling again, he was standing on the Noah's divine ark with two swords on his back. At this moment, he looked like a god. All the martial artists who were originally rushing toward Lin Ling stopped in their tracks at this moment, and their faces were filled with shock. Could it be that he's in control of the Noah's divine ark? Yi Shui's small hand covered her mouth as she let out an incredulous cry of surprise. The previous scene appeared in her mind. A single kick had exterminated a half-saint. In fact, in the hearts of all the martial artists, that single kick had not only exterminated a half-saint, but it had also stabilized the world. For a moment, no one dared to speak at all. They didn't even dare to look at Lin Ling. The Noah's divine ark was under Lin Ling's control. This wasn't something they could fight against. The only thing they could do was perhaps envy, jealousy, and hatred in their hearts. When Lin Ling saw that everyone was silent, he smiled and floated down to the ground. As for the massive Noah's divine ark, it turned into a ray of light and disappeared into Lin Ling's body. Under countless gazes, Lin Ling strolled forward. That blue and white robe and that unique outfit of carrying two swords on his back undoubtedly made everyone even more curious. Up until now, they still didn't know the origins of the son of the devil who had suddenly appeared. However, it was undeniable that among the half-saints, this person was the king. I'm the strongest half-saint. However, at this moment, a terrifying killing intent descended behind Lin Ling. Not only was his desolate body powerful, even his cultivation level was extremely terrifying. Only then did everyone realize that the one who had attacked was the triplet. As the number one half-saint genius in the Yen state, the triplet could only eat dirt with his tail between his legs. How could he take this lying down? There's a chance. The triplet is stronger than us. That's right. The son of the devil has already put away the Noah's divine Arkansas. The triplet will definitely be able to strike first. Seeing this, all the martial artists clenched their fists. The triplet was very fast. The son of the devil was definitely not as fast as him. He would definitely die. However, even though the triplet was fast, could he be faster than the king of assassins? As the triplet was getting closer to Lin Ling, a cold light seemed to come from the void. With a speed that exceeded everyone's imagination, it gently streaked across. The light was dazzling and dazzling. Ah! The triplet immediately let out a painful cry, as if he had suffered the most painful torture in his life. He fell to the ground and kept rolling. Following that, his body melted at a speed visible to the naked eye. This scene was very tragic. Finally, the triplet turned into a pile of bones. The most terrifying thing was that the bones were still squirming, as if he was still suffering from inhumane torture. All the half-saint experts were trembling at this moment. They looked at Lin Ling again and were shocked to discover that the blue-robed youth was still moving forward. It was as if he didn't know about the triplet's sneak attack. It was as if he knew but didn't care. This was because he knew that the triplet would definitely die. This son of the devil is terrifying. In everyone's hearts, there was only one sentence. Chapter 31:44. Leave. The massive divine boat glided through the divine dreamland, like a grand city passing through the horizon. From the endless green mountains, several figures immediately leapt towards the divine boat. The divine thunder around the divine boat also vanished, allowing these people to easily enter. Seeing this, the eyes of all the cultivators revealed a look of envy. Big Brother Ling. The ones that leapt onto the divine boat were Yu and the others. As they landed behind the divine boat, they looked at the dazzling golden divine boat, all of them excited. They never imagined that the one to obtain the divine boat would be Lin Ling. Moreover, they had all witnessed how formidable the divine boat was. It could easily sweep away a half-saint, it could be called a great killing machine that could exterminate a saint. We've finally obtained the divine boat. Lin Ling looked at everyone and smiled. He then said, currently, I haven't thoroughly researched this divine boat. But, I estimate that this divine boat isn't just limited to this. If I can completely control it, I fear that not even a saint will be able to move it. According to legends, the divine boat was a divine boat used by the gods to deliver all living beings from their suffering. Thus, without mentioning anything else, in terms of defense alone, this divine boat was absolutely unimaginably strong. Moreover, Lin Ling had already obtained the dragon soul of the Yin dragon. This dragon soul was the soul of the boat, it could increase the strength of the divine boat once more. Hee, how domineering. It's so big, we can't even walk through it. It's like a whole world. There are actually many enchantment arrays inside. Some of these enchantment arrays seem to be able to increase one's cultivation. Sakura and the others excitedly walked around the divine boat. They were extremely curious about everything. The divine boat has already acknowledged you. You can enter and leave as you please. But, if others enter the divine boat, their fate will be far more terrifying than resisting the divine boat. Lin Ling smiled as he explained. It can be like this. Dreamflow couldn't help but cry out in alarm. Lin Ling nodded. He looked at Do Afterimage behind him and lightly said, Senior, do you want to test it? Do Afterimage immediately smiled and nodded, I've been trapped in the divine boat for many years and have never seen anything extraordinary about it. So, I might as well give it a try. All right. Lin Ling stretched out his right hand, and the resplendent ancient gem appeared once more. Runes began to float out from it. Rumble. Almost at the same time, the entire divine boat blossomed with a dazzling light. Endless enchantments appeared, as if they could topple mountains and overturn seas, suppressing the afterimages. These enchantments were ancient and ancient. There were flames, lightning, frost, divine wind, and so on. They were all afterimages that hadn't been suppressed yet. His expression immediately changed greatly. Plop. His soul was smashed to the ground, and his soul was unstable. Wait, I'm not playing anymore. He anxiously shouted out. This was because facing the endless enchantments of the divine boat, he felt as if he had encountered the hand of a god. He didn't know that the divine boat had countless enchantments. Even a single deck had 890 million enchantments hidden inside, not to mention the entire divine prefecture. And these enchantments were all under Lin Ling's control. So even if a saint was here, he would be like a chicken or a dog. Just like what Lin Ling had said, being inside the divine boat was actually more terrifying than being outside the divine boat. As expected of the divine enchantment. If these enchantments were set up by a purple-robed master, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to complete it without tens of thousands of years. Even I would need a lot of time to complete it. Seeing the king of assassins begging for mercy, Lin Ling thought to himself. In fact, if he was given the same materials, he could also forge the divine boat. However, the time required would definitely not be short. Now that he had a ready-made boat of God, he could save a lot of time. Chi. The king of assassins' afterimages crawled up. However, his eyes were filled with horror as he kept sucking in cold air. Although he was an existence that had killed saints and gods in the 9 prefectures, in his eyes, the young Lin Ling gave him an unfathomable feeling. He was more terrifying than a saint. Even a god couldn't be compared to him. Such a person could only be a friend, not an enemy. By the way, we've known each other for a while. How should I address you, seniors? Could it be that seniors are all called son of devil? Putting away his thoughts, Do Afterimages smiled. In his words, he had unknowingly addressed Lin Ling as a senior. With the divine boat and various mysterious means, Do Afterimages had no choice but to accept it. My name is Lin Ling. Lin Ling seemed to know what the latter was thinking as he smiled faintly. So it's fellow Taoist Lin. It's an honor to meet you. Do Afterimages hurriedly bowed slightly to Lin Ling. Not only did he treat Lin Ling as a peer, he also faintly regarded Lin Ling as a senior. Sakura and the others looked at Do Afterimages curiously. They discovered that this old man seemed to be a soul, but he gave off an unfathomable feeling. Generally speaking, when facing such a person, they would definitely be cautious. However, with Lin Ling here, they didn't have so much fear. My name is Sakura. They call me Son of Bone. Senior, my name is Yu. They call me Son of Dragon. My name is Son of Tomb. Yu and the others spoke out one after another. Sunset Brilliance also nodded, my name is Sunset Brilliance. They call me Sun Death. Hearing this, Do Afterimages looked at Sunset Brilliance with a strange expression. He thought to himself, this person has quite a heavy taste. He doesn't even want to let off the soul of an old man. No, my name is Son of Sun. Sunset Brilliance didn't know if this had become a habit or if it was subconscious, but after discovering his slip of the tongue, he awkwardly waved his hands, causing Lin Ling and the others to laugh. As for Lin Ling, his name is Son of Demon and he is also our leader. In the divine dreamland, everyone thinks of us as sons of Demon. Dreamflow finally spoke, faintly looking at Do Afterimages. In his eyes, an ancient aura spread out, causing Do Afterimages' heart to tremble. He immediately realized that the people who followed Lin Ling, other than you who died that day, were mostly people with great talent and background. For instance, that Son of Dragon. From her body, Do Afterimages could clearly sense that she had awakened an ultimate desolate body. It had to be known that the 100 great bloodlines, the descendants of gods, these descendants all had ultimate desolate bodies. However, not everyone was able to awaken an ultimate desolate body. As for that Dreamflow, Do Afterimages guessed that this person's background was likely one of the 9 provinces 10 vicious. This Lin Ling is truly fierce. He actually managed to gather so many geniuses around him and even take him as their leader. Do Afterimages secretly said. He decided that he would recommend Lin Ling to the Flying Dragon organization. After everyone spoke, Lin Ling finally decided to leave the Divine Dreamland. Because over half a year had passed, he would return to the Spirit Province ahead of time to prepare everything. After putting away the divine boat, Lin Ling led everyone forwards, arriving at the very beginning of the vortex. After a dream of 3,000 years, they appeared outside of the Yu province. The massive square was still packed with people. Powerhouses from all over were chatting with each other in high spirits. These powerhouses were all big shots of the 9 provinces. They were all waiting for the half-saint realm powerhouses under their influence to return with a bountiful harvest. My Xia family will definitely be today's winner. Let's wait and see. Voices like these floated out from time to time. As for Lin Ling and the others, they stopped and looked at these big shots with strange expressions. Then, they shook their heads and laughed before walking away. In particular, Do Afterimages nearly laughed out loud. Chapter 3145. Earth-shattering. After leaving the square, Do Kenning bade farewell and left. Senior Do, I hope you don't forget your promise. Lin Ling looked at Do Kenning with a faint smile and said, I hope you can make a trip to the spirit state in 3 months. No problem. Do Kening nodded immediately. In the beginning, he and Lin Ling had reached an agreement. Lin Ling would spare his life and he would use the Flying Dragon organization to help Lin Ling. But now, even if Lin Ling didn't ask for it, he couldn't wait to help Lin Ling. How many people do you need? Flying Dragon organization's 13 kills, I'll call all of them over. Is that enough? Do Kening asked again. His words made Sakura and the others suck in a breath of cold air, especially Sakura. His face was solemn. This was because his good friend, the cloaked man, Su, was an assassin of the Flying Dragon organization, and he was a triple-kill assassin. The Flying Dragon organization divided their ranks by the number of kills. The higher the number of kills, the higher the strength and status. And this old man was a 13-kill assassin. Enough. On the other hand, Lin Ling's reaction was calm. He wasn't the same as when he first left the Green State. He had countless trump cards, and they were all godlike methods. Therefore, a mere 13-kill assassin wasn't enough for him to look up to. Okay, 3 months later, I'll personally visit the spirit state. Do Kening left after saying that and left quickly. Lin Ling smiled as he looked at his back. He knew that Do Kening wanted to rebuild his body. As long as the soul of an expert like Do Kening didn't dissipate, he would definitely have a way to rebuild a powerful body. Lin Ling, I'll have to part with you guys for now. After all, I'm from the Fu Hang Manor, and I have to report back. After Do Kening left, Luo Riyao looked at Lin Ling and said. Lin Ling smiled and nodded. Luo Riyao then said, I'm also from the Green State. Your trouble is my trouble. After I go back, I'll think of a way to persuade the Fu Hang Manor to send experts to help the spirit state. Although Luo Riyao helped Lin Ling out of friendship, he wasn't stupid. He knew that Lin Ling's future was limitless, so he naturally recommended Lin Ling to the Fu Hang Manor. Then be careful. If anything happens, you can come to the spirit province to find me. Hearing this, Lin Ling nodded, and at the same time, gave a few instructions. Okay. Luo Riyao also bowed to Lin Ling and left the spirit state. Lin Ling and the others were also heading towards the spirit province. However, halfway through, a voice transmission was transmitted to them. Master, are you there? The voice belonged to the third princess. This surprised Lin Ling and Yu. Third princess, what's wrong? Lin Ling was worried about the Green State, so he quickly asked. Master, don't worry. The Green State is fine. I just returned to the Tianzhou, but I think I saw the broken sword that you've been looking for. Broken sword? Are you sure? It should be because the broken sword's aura is very similar to your scabbard. If I hadn't seen the scabbard, I wouldn't be so sure. The broken sword is in the Jiang family. Okay, I'll go to the Tianzhou now. After putting away the voice transmission talisman, Lin Ling immediately looked at Yu and the others. Brother Ling, you go. We'll go back to the spirit state and arrange everything. Yu and the others could see that Lin Ling was in a hurry. Okay, I'll be back in less than 3 months. Lin Ling was indeed in a hurry. Although the scabbard had saved him many times, it had also tried to kill him. It was a double-edged sword. Therefore, he couldn't wait to find a new scabbard. Then, Lin Ling rushed toward the Tianzhou without stopping. Li Xiaoyao had been to the Tianzhou in the past, but Lin Ling had never been there before. Therefore, he could only travel along the chaos of the universe, and the journey would not be short. Therefore, he directly activated the Noah's divine arc and quickly traveled through the pitch-black void of the universe. Rumble. The huge Noah's divine arc was like a realm. It carried a grand and majestic aura as it moved forward in a mighty manner. Wow, what's that? Along the way, they naturally encountered some warriors. They were dumbfounded as they looked at the dazzling golden divine Arkansas. Then, many of them licked their lips and revealed greedy looks. It's mine. Someone immediately attacked without hesitation. Rumble. However, before they could get close to the divine ark, a pool of lightning descended and the powerhouse who attacked was immediately shattered into pieces. One had to know that this was a saint-level powerhouse. At this moment, the cultivators around the primal chaos didn't dare to act rashly. Moreover, they glanced around and noticed that a young man in a blue robe was sitting cross-legged on the divine boat. He seemed like a god that had returned from the era of the gods. So mighty. All the warriors mumbled to themselves. In the end, they could only watch the dazzling golden divine ark disappear into the distance. Who is that person? He killed a sage like killing a dog. That's amazing. There are countless gods in the land of the 9 states. How can we see through all of them? However, that divine ark is indeed extraordinary. It gives me a lot of pressure. Let's go. That young man's world is not something we can look up to. The surrounding warriors also hurried on their way. However, they were even more curious about the young man in the blue robe. Unfortunately, even though these powerhouses had roamed the 9 states for many years, none of them did not know Lin Ling. This was because to the 9 states, Lin Ling had only just entered this world. In the spirit state, all the big shots were still waiting in the square. Not long after, a large number of figures finally walked out of the huge whirlpool. How are your harvests? The saints of the divine escort mansion were unable to restrain themselves. They took the initiative to ask. Moreover, they also swept their eyes over the other big shots. They hoped that by taking advantage of the divine dreamland, they could suppress the other great influences and raise the prestige of the divine escort mansion. In fact, the other big shots were also doing the same. However, the martial artists that came out of the divine dreamland all had their heads lowered, as if they were frozen eggplants. Honorable Master, all of our treasures have been stolen by the son of demon. Finally, someone clenched their teeth and spoke, their voice extremely gloomy. These words caused the entire square to fall silent. Even the hidden Emperor Yu was quietly waiting for his descendants' harvest. But as he saw the divine escort mansion's people not have any harvests, he secretly smiled. Huh, trash, trash. The other big shots of the 9 states were also incomparably excited. They took this opportunity to mock the divine escort mansion. My lord, our harvests have also been stolen by the son of demon. However, following that, the influences under these big shots also bitterly spoke. This caused the square to fall silent. All of the big shots were dumbfounded. Your harvests have also been stolen. You only managed to obtain these scattered treasures. After a moment, an angry voice echoed out like a thunderclap. That's right, all of the good things have been stolen by them. Moreover, the divine boat that appeared this time was also stolen by the son of demon. In the square, the half-step saint powerhouses spoke with sad faces. Every word they spoke caused the hearts of all the big shots to tremble. Even Emperor Yu in the sky was no exception. The divine boat of Noah was one of the great treasures of the divine dreamland. For many years, countless people had coveted the divine boat and tried to take it for themselves, but all of them failed. Chapter 31-46. They arrived in Sky Province. And this time, the soul of the Yin dragon appeared. Another voice sounded. This time, it was Ye Shui who spoke. However, her mood was obviously lower than everyone else's. The soul of the Yin dragon also appeared. The big shots didn't see Ye Shui's disappointed expression. Instead, their eyes lit up. But it was also stolen by the son of the demon. Unfortunately, just as they were looking forward to it, Ye Shui spoke again. It's him again. Almost at the same time, the same words came out of the big shots' mouths. They could tolerate the loot being stolen. They couldn't tolerate the boat of God being stolen. But the dragon was also stolen. This was intolerable. Where did these son of the demon come from? At this moment, a voice filled with heavenly might resounded in the sky. Emperor Yu had also appeared. Moreover, his eyes were very red. There were actually flames of fury burning in them. If it weren't for the divine dreamland not allowing saints to enter, he would have already rushed in to see who these so-called son of the demon were. I don't know. They seem to have appeared out of thin air. After they appeared, all the half-step saint powerhouses of the 9 states were trampled under their feet. We only know that they are called son of the demon, son of the dragon, son of bone, son of grave, and son of song. Oh right, there is also one called death of you. The half-step saint powerhouses in the square lowered their heads and spoke. Their voices were filled with unwillingness. This was because this was also a great shame to them. The 9 states was so vast and there were countless half-step saints. However, they were swept away by a few people. If this wasn't a shame, then what was? Death of me? The various big shots were already furious. When they heard the strange words, "Fuck you to death," they were so angry that their hair stood on end. They had never seen such a shameless person. Not only did they steal the treasures, they even pretended to be cool and left the name "Death of You." Were they challenging the major forces of the 9 states? Or were they gloating? Wait for them here. I want to see where these guys come from. Do they have 3 heads and 6 arms? Yes. That's right. Fuck me to death. You dare to kill a saint? How arrogant. The big shots also threw caution to the wind. They didn't leave and waited in the square. Without a doubt, the appearance of Lin Ling and the others was earth-shattering, causing the 9 continents to tremble. This was because for many years, this was the first time that the divine dreamland had experienced such a large-scale robbery. This was simply a miracle for the divine dreamland. Secondly, it was the first time in the 9 prefectures that he had fought against a group of half-saints by himself. Unfortunately, no one knew that Lin Ling and the others had already left. At this moment, the gigantic divine boat was flying through the sky. The young man on the boat was still cultivating. During this trip to the divine dreamland, Lin Ling's boundary hadn't risen by much. However, he had already prepared a large amount of treasures. After setting up the formation in the spirit province, the remaining emperor crystals could be used for cultivation. However, Lin Ling wasn't in a hurry to improve his cultivation at this moment because no one in the half-saint realm could shake him now that he had the divine boat. Scabbard, oh Scabbard, where did you come from? Then, Lin Ling unsheathed the sword on his back and looked at it. This scabbard had saved Lin Ling time and time again. But every time it saved him, the scabbard would also give birth to a rich killing intent towards Lin Ling. Unless, Lin Ling found a new broken sword. This was also the reason why Lin Ling was in such a hurry to go to the Sky Province. Currently, the scabbard could increase the rank of a demon sword by 30%, but it could resist 50% of another's strength. If he added on the broken sword he obtained this time, Lin Ling estimated that the rank of the demon sword would rise by another 10%. Little Kunlun, after we finish laying down the great enchantment array in the Blue Province, we can use the remaining treasures to cultivate. After looking through the scabbard, Lin Ling put away the scabbard and stroked the black vines on his left arm. As he recalled the scene in the divine boat, if it weren't for little Kunlun saving him at a critical moment, Lin Ling would have already been assassinated by those afterimages. So, Lin Ling once again owed little Kunlun a favor. After an unknown amount of time, an ancient land appeared in front of him. It was majestic and boundless. Lin Ling also put away the divine boat and floated in the void of the universe, looking down at the divine land. However, the Sky Province was bigger than the Blue Province, but it couldn't be compared to the Spirit Province. So, after Lin Ling roughly glanced at it, he was already used to it. He directly landed on the ground and then a jade talisman appeared in his hand. Realm essence surged into it and a vast map appeared in front of him. The Jiang family of the Great World was naturally on it. Lin Ling immediately followed the map and headed towards the Jiang family of the Great World. The Jiang family of the Great World was a famous royal family in the Sky Province. It was one of the bloodlines of the Celestial Emperor. After half a day, Lin Ling finally arrived at a holy land with beautiful mountains and clear waters. There was a massive manor here, as large as a city. This was the Jiang family of the Great World. However, the surroundings of this manor were like an ancient city, it was extremely lively. In the streets and alleys, martial artists walked in an endless stream, purchasing all sorts of treasures from the bodies of monster beasts. Wherever there were people, there were bound to be rumors. Thus, rumors began to spread from the restaurants and streets. He, Jiang Wuhan has returned. He has returned from the Yu province. Jiang Wuhan. That genius with the divine arm. That's right. He represents the Sky Province Great World's Jiang family and has returned from the Yu province. I heard that he entered the divine dream land and seized a great harvest. His name has shaken the 9 province. With him, the Jiang family will bring honor to their ancestors. Although there were many martial artists in the Sky Province that wandered the 9 province, they only had the qualifications to wander. In terms of fame, they were clearly much weaker, they couldn't compare with Jiang Wuhan. And for the Sky Province, the half-step saint realm was the strongest strength. This was because even the Celestial Emperor had only just touched upon the threshold of becoming a saint. In terms of overall strength, they naturally couldn't compare with the Spirit Province. The news came back so quickly. It must be known that it took me nearly a month to get here on the divine boat. Listening to the excited voices all around him, Lin Ling's eyes flashed. But, he soon relaxed. It seemed that the Sky Province had an ancient transmission array that led directly to the Yu Province. Ignoring the voices around him, Lin Ling continued forwards. In front of him, a gorgeous gate appeared. Many martial artists with extraordinary auras entered through the gate one after another. As for the road leading to the gate, it was clean and tidy. The ground was paved with purple jade and gold bricks, magnificent and magnificent. Moreover, ordinary people weren't allowed to step onto the royal road. This was also a rule of the Jiang family. The Jiang family had a bloodline relationship with the Celestial Emperor. Their status in the Sky Province was naturally no trifling matter. Brother Wuhan has returned. To fight against all the half-step saints of the 9 province, I really envy him. The Celestial Emperor has already said that Brother Wuhan has the highest chance of becoming the next Celestial Emperor. Chapter 3147. The Jiang family's territory. Son of the Demon. That's right. These people are quite powerful. They robbed all the half-saints in the 9 continents. I heard that they even stole the dragon god and fought against the entire 9 continents by themselves. Most importantly, the leader of the Son of the Demon is only at the early stage of the half-saint realm. How is that possible? Early stage of the half-saint realm? That's 1 realm lower than me. Senior Brother Wuhan said it himself. It must be true because he was there as well. He was scared out of his wits. The Son of the Demon suppressed all the half-saints with 1 stomp. The voices of 2 people talking suddenly rang out on the magnificent purplish golden avenue. They were 2 young elites. The one on the left held a spear in his hand, looking wise and mighty. The one on the right wore a tight vest, and there was a half-closed eye on his left shoulder. When the martial artists on the street saw the 2 of them, they all looked at them in awe. Obviously, these 2 were the top geniuses of the Jiang family. Young Master Jiang Feng, Young Master Jiang Yi. Someone whispered. The so-called Young Master Jiang Feng was the son of the Jiang family in the Great World, and he was the focus of the Jiang family. Of course, compared to Jiang Wuhan, Jiang Feng was still weaker. That was because the latter followed the celestial emperor. They were two completely different things. Son of the demon. Even Jiang Wuhan is in awe of him. TSK, I wonder what he is like. Many people recalled Jiang Feng's words, and their eyes were filled with yearning. There were not many martial artists in Tianzhou that could travel to the 9 continents. Therefore, many people were very curious about the 9 continents and looked forward to the day that they could leave Tianzhou and fight with the martial artists of the 9 continents. Of course, this was just an extravagant wish for many people. Jiang Feng and Jiang Wuhan were like cranes in a flock of chickens. They were still talking as they walked. Wait, who is that? However, not far from them, a young man in a blue robe was also walking. This surprised all the martial artists in the distance. That was the Royal Avenue. Normal people could not step into it. Even Jiang Feng and Jiang Wuhan began to notice the young man in the blue robe. First level half-saint. He's considered a rare genius even in Tianzhou. However, I've never seen this person before. I wonder if he's an honored guest invited by the great world's Jiang family. Both Jiang Feng and Huang Xiaolong thought to themselves. Then, Jiang Feng said in an indifferent voice, "Sir, the royal street is not a place you can easily enter." However, the blue-robed young man stopped in his tracks, glanced at the two of them, shook his head, and continued forward. That calm shake of his head actually gave off a feeling of disregard. The facts were indeed so. The blue-robed young man's footsteps were steady and carefree as he walked forward, and it was as if the Imperial Avenue was an ordinary street that anyone could walk on. "Sir, are you courting death?" Jiang Feng's eyes immediately turned cold. In Tianzhou, no one dared to disrespect them. "I'm just looking for an acquaintance." The blue-robed young man finally opened his mouth and spoke. However, he did not explain anything. "How dare you?" When had Jiang Feng and the others ever been looked down upon like this? The two of them leaped toward the blue-robed youth one after another. Jiang Feng's right arm shook, and the spear in his hand shot toward the blue-robed youth. Next to him, Jiang Yi's right arm suddenly became huge. On his shoulder, a stone millstone-like eyeball appeared with billowing murderous aura. He also attacked. The two of them did not hold back at all. They were actually filled with murderous intent. "Stop!" However, at this moment, a figure immediately shot out from the magnificent door. It was a woman in snow-white clothes, and she was extremely beautiful. When they saw the woman, Jiang Feng and the others also forcefully stopped. "Sister Shui, what is the meaning of this?" Jiang Feng frowned as he looked at the fairy-like woman. However, there was a hint of command in his tone. The person who came was the third princess, Jiang Shuiying. "He is my master. I invited him here." The third princess also frowned as she looked at Jiang Feng and Huang Xiaolong. "Your master. I heard that a genius powerhouse appeared in Qingzhou and illuminated Qingzhou. So, it's this person. However, it's better to meet him in person than to hear about him." After being stunned for a moment, Jiang Feng and Jiang Shuiying said indifferently. A hint of disdain flickered in the depths of their eyes. Although the third princess had become the Qing emperor, she was only powerful in Qingzhou. She did not have the power of the ancient era. In the great world's Jiang family, she was merely an ordinary martial immortal. In fact, if it were not for the third princess's identity as the Qing emperor, they would not even bother to speak to such a woman. The only thing the third princess could do to them was perhaps to give them away as gifts to other geniuses in Zhouzhou. After all, the great world's Jiang family's bloodline was as numerous as the hairs on an ox. "Isn't your master too rude? He actually didn't bow to us." Jiang Feng spoke again and glanced sideways at Lin Ling. However, he realized that the blue-robed youth did not even look at them. This made him even more displeased. The third princess naturally knew of his arrogance. She secretly gritted her teeth and said indifferently, I invited him here. He doesn't know you, so why should he bow? Third princess, I know that you've become the Qing emperor. However, you've only achieved a little. Don't be too proud. Don't forget who helped you become the Qing emperor. If it weren't for our great world's Jiang family continuously sending out experts, you wouldn't even be qualified to touch the Qing emperor's jade seal, let alone becoming the Qing emperor. Jiang Feng said coldly when he heard that. You. The third princess's beautiful eyes immediately turned red when she heard that. That was because she had experienced many twists and turns to become the Qing emperor. In the end, she had almost failed. At that time, the Jiang family had not given her any help. Instead, it was her master Lin Ling who had turned the tide and allowed her to become the Qing emperor. And now, her master Lin Ling had not even asked for credit. Instead, the great world's Jiang family had taken the initiative to snatch the credit. Don't forget that you're only an ordinary branch of the Jiang family. Even your mother was abandoned by the Qing emperor. This is also a disgrace to the Jiang family. You becoming the Qing emperor is just making up for your mistakes. Jiang Yi also spoke, his words sharp and harsh. In his heart, the bastard child who was often mocked and ridiculed in the Jiang family in the past had also risen to the top today. This made him very unhappy. Hearing this, the third princess clenched her teeth tightly. She wanted to say something, but in the end, she endured it. Although she was the Qing emperor, Qingzhou was not comparable to Tianzhou. Therefore, she did not dare to break off relations with her family. However, she was afraid of the great world's Jiang family, but this did not mean that Lin Ling was afraid. Therefore, Lin Ling glanced at Jiang Feng and Jiang Yi and said indifferently, your mouths are so foul. You specialize in attacking the inferiority in the depths of others' hearts. Did you grow up eating shit? I'll give you a chance. Slap yourselves 3 times and I'll spare your lives. Slap. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Feng and Jiang Yi were stunned. As for the people on the street in the distance, they were also extremely shocked. Because when facing the son of the Jiang family, even Jiang Shuiying did not dare to refute. But this blue-robed young man actually dared to speak such words. This is not Qingzhou. Jiang Feng's expression immediately turned icy cold. This is our territory. Jiang Yi also spoke from the side. Hearing this, Lin Ling turned around and walked step by step towards Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng looked down at Lin Ling. He wanted to see what this half-saint first-level kid wanted to do. Could it be that he dared to kill him in Tianzhou? Slap. Chapter 31-48. I don't care whose territory you are. This action had undoubtedly shocked the Jiang family. That young man dared to make a move at the Jiang family's gate. How dare you? Roar. Jiang Yi immediately roared and was about to make a move, but at this time, black vines attacked and instantly bound him tightly. Any resistance from him would be useless. I don't care whose territory you are. How dare you bully my disciple in front of me? Roar. Lin Ling grabbed Jiang Feng's neck and lifted him up. Jiang Feng's legs kept kicking, but he couldn't break free from that arm. This made him terrified. How could the behind-the-scenes emperor of Qingzhou be so powerful? Most importantly, he deeply felt from Lin Ling's eyes that Lin Ling really wanted to kill him without any hesitation. He couldn't help but feel shocked. Although Lin Ling was the behind-the-scenes emperor of Qingzhou, he knew that Lin Ling only had this honor because of the third princess. If it weren't for the fact that the third princess wasn't Emperor Qing, Lin Ling wouldn't even be worth a fart. Master, he's the son of the Jiang family's patriarch. Next to him, the third princess quickly advised. She knew Lin Ling's temperament. He would really make a move. However, killing Jiang Feng here wouldn't benefit Lin Ling at all. Scram. Hearing this, Lin Ling roared and swung his right hand. Crackle. Jiang Feng was suddenly like a kite with a broken string, somersaulting and crashing into the distance. Pft! After crashing into the ground, the purple gold jade block on the Royal Avenue had a human shape carved out. Jiang Feng spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. Buzz. As for the spear in his hand, it was stuck right next to him. The spearhead was buried in the ground, and the body of the spear kept swaying. It was extremely ironic. You. Jiang Feng had never been humiliated like this since he was young. However, just as he finished speaking, a black shadow came crashing down like a kite and landed heavily on him. This time, it was Jiang Yi who was thrown out. Ouch! After Jiang Yi crashed into Jiang Feng's body, he let out a groan. However, the pain that he imagined was not that strong. He scratched the back of his head in confusion. Get lost! At this time, Jiang Feng's voice came from below. His voice was filled with anger, and Jiang Yi quickly climbed down from his body. He dares to touch the young master of the great world's Jiang family. Jiang Shuiying's master sure has guts. But he's still quite powerful. Jiang Feng is at the 3rd level of the half-saint realm, but he was defeated in just one exchange. So what? If Jiang Shuiying wasn't Emperor Qing, he wouldn't even be worth a fart. He's just taking advantage of his disciples' glory. The surrounding people were discussing animatedly. Some people from the Jiang clan said sinisterly. They believed that if it wasn't for Jiang Shuiying, he would be dead for sure based on that young man's arrogant actions. However, since that young man dared to enter the Jiang clan, he would definitely not be any better off. Master, how are things in the Spirit Province? At that moment, in the Jiang family of the Great Worlds, the 3rd princess was leading Lin Ling forward. She looked extremely happy as she walked. So. Lin Ling replied with a smile. Shui was worried about Master, but I didn't expect Master to have also stepped into the half-saint realm. That's right, how are Master's wife and the others? The 3rd princess was shocked. The last time Lin Ling had returned to the Qing province, he was only at the martial immortal realm. But now, he had stepped into the half-saint realm. She estimated that no one in the early half-saint realm would be a match for her master. How could she know that with Lin Ling's current strength, he would be able to fight against a mid-half-saint realm expert? As for the 5th level of the half-saint realm, not many people would be a match for Lin Ling. If he used the divine boat, no matter how many half-saints there were, they would all be defeated. Master's wife and the others have also stepped into the half-saint realm. Especially Yu, her strength is not weak. Speaking of this, Lin Ling somewhat missed Yu and the others. He smiled warmly. That's right, I have some treasures here that you can use to break through to the martial immortal realm. After thinking for a bit, Lin Ling took out the treasures he had obtained from the divine dreamland. Although he needed a lot of treasures to set up the formation, the cultivation resources that Jiang Shuiying needed were only a small amount. Therefore, Lin Ling didn't care at all. As the two of them walked side by side, they naturally attracted the attention of many people in the Jiang family. That's the 3rd princess master. I didn't expect him to be so young. However, he must have come here today to take advantage of the Jiang family. What a despicable person. I didn't expect him to be so thick-skinned. Those people whispered among themselves. They believed that the heavenly province was stronger than the Qing province. Therefore, Lin Ling came from the countryside and took advantage of their Jiang family. However, these words instantly disappeared without a trace after Lin Ling took out those treasures. They even opened their mouths wide, as if they were ducks that had been grabbed by the neck. That was because the treasures that Lin Ling gave to the 3rd princess were all priceless treasures. That is the sky-heart eternal flower. In the legends, it is impossible for it to grow without 990,000 years. There is also the 3-striped divine split fruit. When a martial immortal breaks through to the half-step saint realm, it will be implicated by the half-step saint tribulation. It will take another 80,000 years to grow. Most importantly, this spirit fruit's growth process is extremely fragile. Unless it is in an absolutely sealed environment, it is impossible for it to grow. Those heavenly treasures are enough to nurture a half-saint realm expert. The cries of alarm became louder and louder. Those from the Jiang family all revealed looks of envy. Even the third princess was the same. Although Lin Ling hadn't given her any treasures, she had never complained. She believed that a master didn't have to give their disciple any treasures. And now, her master had given her treasures. But, if these treasures were placed in the heavenly province, they would cause a great sensation. "Master, I don't want them." The third princess quickly waved her hands, appearing extremely stubborn. "Oh." Lin Ling looked at her curiously. He casually picked up a 3-striped divine split fruit and bit into it. Then, he felt that the fruit was a bit bitter, so he spat out the skin. This caused the third princess to be stunned. The reason why she didn't want it was because the treasure was too precious. She guessed that it was her master's entire fortune. But now, her master was actually eating the spirit fruit as a snack. And he didn't like the taste. "How is it precious? I have many treasures like this. Take it." Lin Ling naturally understood what the third princess meant. He waved his right hand and a few more 3-striped divine split fruits appeared. Moreover, they were all ripe. The previous ones weren't ripe, so don't eat them. These are ripe and have better effects. Take them. Hearing Lin Ling's words, the third princess was dumbfounded. In the distance, those from the Jiang family were all dumbfounded. Lin Ling and the third princess continued on their journey. After they left, the members of the Jiang family pounced on them and picked up the spirit fruits that Lin Ling had left behind. Some of them even started to fight over them. "It's mine. Get out of here. It's mine." The noise was extremely intense. Chapter 3149. They fought over it until their heads bled. "What's going on?" Jiang Feng solemnly asked. "Young master, this is the 3-vein divine split fruit." Those from the Jiang family naturally didn't dare to conceal this. Jiang Feng took a step forwards and grabbed the green fruit. Then, with a surprised expression, he said, "Why would a spirit fruit that was bitten by someone appear here?" He was clearly puzzled. This was thrown away by the third princess master. He gave the third princess a great deal, but this fruit hasn't ripened yet, so he threw it away after taking a bite. Someone replied, sighing with emotion. "I didn't think that the third princess master would be so rich. I really envy the third princess." Sigh. "What?" Sigh. Jiang Feng and Jiang Yi roared out in unison. In their hearts, the blue-robed youth from the countryside had quietly fused together with a rich man who sat on a treasure trove. This caused them to look at each other in dismay. Didn't Jiang Shuiying's master come to the great world's Jiang family to take advantage of them? But now, a spirit fruit that he casually threw away was enough for the Jiang family to fight over. This meant that they were the ones who took advantage of him. They were the ones who came from the countryside. This spirit fruit. Thinking of this, Jiang Feng felt as if he had been slapped hundreds of times, causing him to fly into a rage out of shame. He wanted to throw away the spirit fruit in his hands, but he couldn't bear to do so. As for Lin Ling and the third princess, they were still walking forwards. They simply didn't know what was happening in the garden. Moreover, even if Lin Ling knew, he wouldn't care. In the divine dreamland, he had plundered all the half-saint powerhouses of the 9 province. A mere 3-vein divine split fruit wasn't something he cared about at all. The third princess was still surprised. Her eyes sparkled, looking extremely beautiful. She secretly thought, was the spirit province really so rich? Master didn't seem to care about these treasures at all. What are you thinking about? However, at this moment, Lin Ling's voice also sounded, causing the third princess's heart to beat wildly. Although Lin Ling was about the same age as her, Lin Ling had created too many miracles. Therefore, in her heart, Lin Ling was like a great father. He was also the man that she, Jiang Shuiying, admired the most. That's right, that broken sword is currently in the hands of the Jiang family's patriarch. I accidentally saw it when I returned this time. However, the Jiang family's patriarch also values that broken sword very much. The third princess hurriedly changed the subject. He does have some foresight. Unfortunately, he doesn't know that such a treasure is not something that he can get his hands on. Lin Ling said with a smile. His tone also became somewhat cold. Then, Master, have you thought about how to make the head of the Jiang family relent? Third princess asked. Although she was also a member of the Jiang family, she grew up in Qingzhou, so she did not have a strong sense of belonging to the Jiang family. If it were not for her mother's relatives, she would not have wanted to come back at all. I haven't thought about it yet, but he will give it to me. Lin Ling said indifferently. He had already made up his mind. If the other party did not give it to him, he would just have to force it. He was determined to get the broken sword. That's good. The Jiang family's patriarch will appear tomorrow because brother Jiang Wuhan is coming to our place. At that time, Master can make a request of the Jiang family's patriarch. Third princess said again. You are also a member of the Jiang family. If Master's relationship with the Jiang family is strained, whose side will you stand on? Lin Ling smiled and suddenly asked. Master, this side. The third princess did not hesitate and said directly, although I am a member of the Jiang family, because my mother was abandoned by the Qing emperor, the Jiang family looked down on me since I was young and called me a bastard. At this point, the third princess's voice became much lower. Lin Ling sighed softly. The third princess's mother was together with the Qing emperor, but she did not have any status. It was no wonder that the Jiang family of the Great World looked down on the third princess's mother. After all, the Jiang family of the Great World was the royal family of Tianzhou, and they cared about their reputation the most. You are also someone who has suffered a lot. Lin Ling said again. The third princess was ridiculed in the Jiang family, and the Qing emperor ignored her in Qingzhou. She had suffered more than others since she was young, and this also made the third princess develop a strong character. Don't worry, you are my disciple, Lin Ling. After tomorrow, the Jiang family will not dare to look down on you. The two of them walked and walked until they arrived at a quiet garden. Lin Ling then settled down. This was the third princess's residence. Although it was small, it was quiet. That night, Lin Ling stayed in the third princess's room. He wanted to refuse, but the third princess was not willing. Instead, the third princess stayed in the guest's room. In the room, the fragrance of a woman wafted through the air. When one thought of the third princess's fairy-like temperament, as long as one was a man, they would inevitably be tempted. It seems that the more I cultivate, the more backward I become. I actually have feelings for my disciple. I shouldn't, really shouldn't. Lin Ling noticed this and couldn't help but shake his head helplessly. Then, he calmed his heart and focused on cultivating. He was no longer a child and had long stopped womanizing. Moreover, if he had feelings for his disciple, he was afraid that he would be too ashamed to face others. The garden was quiet and secluded. Hundreds of flowers bloomed and the bright moonlight shone down from the sky. A beautiful figure in white stood quietly under the moonlight. She looked at the beautiful moon in the sky and couldn't help but let out a long sigh. She was the third princess, Jiang Shuiying. Moreover, she knew what Lin Ling was thinking. She felt very uncomfortable about this, as if she was missing something. This feeling was even more unbearable than losing the position of the Qing emperor. Mother, is this the so-called love? She mumbled to herself, and the disappointment on her pretty face deepened. The night passed quietly. The next day, the Jiang family in the great world became lively. That was because Jiang Wuhan was coming. As the next emperor of heaven, Jiang Wuhan was the most dazzling genius in Tianzhou. His arrival undoubtedly illuminated the Jiang family like a blazing sun. In Tianzhou, the Jiang family didn't just have one bloodline. There were a total of 12 bloodlines, all of which had the bloodlines of the 100 great bloodlines. Their cultivation and talent were the same, and they all came from their arms. However, although the Jiang family seemed to have many bloodlines, they were also a solid piece of iron. Therefore, those who came to the Jiang family in the great world naturally included the other bloodlines. Crackle, crackle. Although the strength of the Jiang family in the great world was like that of a saint, they still didn't forget the rules of mortals. Every time it was a joyous occasion, they still liked to set off firecrackers. This was to create a kind of atmosphere. This caused the entire manor to be filled with the sound of firecrackers. The children ran around in joy. As for the adults, they were also jubilant as if they were celebrating the new year. On the other hand, the third princess manor was somewhat quiet. Other than the old woman who had accompanied the third princess since she was young, no one else came. Has the Jiang family in the great world always been so lively? Lin Ling heard the sound of firecrackers early in the morning. He walked out of his room and said with a smile. He wore a clean blue robe and carried 2 swords on his back. He gave off a handsome and otherworldly feeling. His smile was very clean and had the vigor of a young man. However, the depth of his eyes did not match his age. If one looked into his eyes, it was easy to get lost in them. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.